Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
The second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. Got Devin Gordon with us
at Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
What's going on? Monday, June 3rd, 2024. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. I am Jimmy, along here with Chris and Jeremy, Jay-Z. What's going on? We had a week off thanks to Memorial Day. So we have a lot to talk about. We have about 2 weeks of racing to catch up on, to talk about, give our opinions on. And of course, everybody here in chat, we want to hear what your opinions are. Thanks everybody for tuning in like always. Randy, Brad, Matt, see you guys in the chat as always. Matt, it was nice catching up with you last night at Selinsgrove. We're going to be talking about that for sure. Chris, Jeremy, how are you guys doing tonight?
Very
awesome,
good.
Man. Awesome. Happy to be here.
So, before we get started, do want to thank our sponsor, Gutshall's Automotive. Gutshall's Automotive has everything that you need for your automotive needs, anything that your car might need, inspections, brakes, any type of repair work. Check them out. They're in Middletown, PA. Phone number 717-944-6888. We want to thank them very much for supporting the podcast, and definitely go check them out if you need anything done with your car. Let's get right into it, guys. So we didn't have a show last week because it was Memorial Day. So we have the John Trone race over at Williamsgrove to go over, Weikert, everything from this past week. High Limit came and went now. So let's get right into it. Let's go back to last Friday, the John Trone tribute race at Williamsgrove. And check it out. Probably the bigger story of the night was Shane Gillis was there, and I'm pissed that I didn't go. I was thinking about it. But see T2T fan Austin Griffey over here. Shout out to him, repping Turn 2 Terribles. Got to meet Shane, and it was cool that he was there. So I see a lot of pictures of friends, getting pictures with them. Pretty cool that he was there. But the story of the night on the track was Danny Dietrich in that Weikert 29. Kind of a little foreshadowing. Gets the win. Looked really good. Spencer Baston second, Lucas Wolf third, Corey Eliason and Chase Dietz round out the top 5. Fellas, what do you guys see from this race on last Friday?
I don't know if I watched a whole lot of it. I know Danny won, and it was, feels like he's back on track. Spencer Baston was really good. Lucas Wolf again, had a good night. But Danny getting the win in the 29, obviously again foreshadowing, feeling like he's back on track a little bit after that win. I'm sure.
Chris?
Yeah, same with Jamie. I didn't really watch it. I don't remember what I was doing, but it's good to see Danny and that team recover. They had a tough stretch there for a while. Getting back where they were early in the season is always good.
I watched it. I was camping at Port Royal, had a little projector screen, and was watching. It was a good race. Track was fairly wide, but yeah, Danny just kind of he just handled it. It was good to see. I thought it might have been the only time we saw Danny in victory lane, just because I knew Port was going to be so tough. But obviously, that wasn't the case. We'll get into that here in a second. I don't know. There's not really anything else to say about this race. It feels like ancient history at this point. But was it $10,000 to win, I believe. So it was a nice payday for Danny. And obviously, there was a lot of. You had some of the high limit guys come in because they weren't racing that night. So you had like Spencer Baston, Corey Eliason. You had Invader and Brian Brown there. Just it was sack field. It was like, I'd have to go back and look, but I want to say it was like 30. It's like 35 or 36. Yeah, it was like over 35 cars. It was a good car count that night. So yeah. Checking everybody out in the chat real quick right here. April Clark can't stay long tonight. Thanks for all you guys do. Thank you for checking us out. As always, Seth Dietrich. Hi, boys. What's going on? Right, got Ryan Newton ripping a little bit. See that? So let's get into Weikert. And again, foreshadowing, Danny Dietrich wins the big $75,000. He couldn't have had a more. That place was deafening. First of all, it was packed like it was the Tusky 50. And, Weikert always gets a pretty good crowd regardless. But it was, with the high limit effect, the extra money on the line, just a great quality of cars. I mean, not only did you have all high limit, but since the Outlaws were off and not that far away, 6 hours away, whatever, just a quick 6-hour trip. Some of them used to, some pretty big time names decided to come and use one of their 3 freebies to come try to chase that $75,000. David Gravel, Logan Shore, Brock Zierfoss. So it was a stacked ass field, and it did not disappoint. Port Royal was, they always put on a good show. High Limit so far, it just seems like most of their shows, like 90% of them, are always really, really entertaining. The track was just in good shape. It was up at the wall in time trials, which I know, Jeremy, you were kind of joking about it earlier in the day. Like, man, I hope it's up there because I'm going to get some sick-ass pictures. And you did.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, it was, and turns out it wasn't the best part of the night, right? Like, I'm glad it was. It was cool for that little window of time, but it wasn't even the best part of the night. Go ahead.
No, and the whole format makes you, like Danny said, and like you'll tell me, every lap matters. Makes you race your ass off every lap because time trials have points, and then they inverted 6. So you had, if you moved up, there's guys, that one heat races that got put in the B main, which some people don't really like. I know that's kind of a hot topic issue when it comes to Knoxville. And this is kind of a similar format. What'd you guys think of the format? Because I think, to me, at the end of the day, I still think the fast guys ended up where they should have been. They had to work for it, but when you're fast, that's, you're going to be up there.
I agree. I think fast guys, creamers, right to the top, right? But if you have a special event, a special format helps build that event to me. I know we talked about last year, the National Open not having an event like that, or not having a format that's any different than a regular Outlaw show, and that kind of maybe takes away a little bit. But I think for this event, what they have going on, it's a cool format, and it rewards guys that want to race and race hard.
I don't take a whole lot of merit into the people that say, "Oh, I won my heat race and I'm going to be main." Well, time better. You know what the
Yeah.
rules are. You know what the format is. Like, you can have a good enough car to go win a heat race at Port Royal in clean air. Um, that's the field that's kind of field that shows up to those races, right? So that just doesn't carry a whole lot of merit to me. You know that you time well, and then you got to go past cars if you're going to go be amongst other good cars. If you end up on the pole and you go win the heat race, well, you want a heat race in front of a big crowd. Good for you. But you know the format, you know the rules going in. You're not going to bitch about it until you're in it, like
Right.
until you're that guy or someone else is going to complain about it. So it was all the playing field was very level for everyone. I liked it. I think it was fine. I think
Yeah.
it did what it was supposed to do.
And for big money, I, the guys who took care of business were up there. You know what I mean? And um, I'm always kind of like, usually when it happens at Knoxville, heat guys who win heat races, or usually what happens at Knoxville is there's a guy who will rid his prelim night because he started up front in the prelim and then be in the back of the B, or either have to go to Hard Knocks or don't walk in. And sometimes that's kind of something that I'm like, maybe they could find a way to adjust that. But here, I mean, you get passing points. Don't fall back. Yeah, you get on the pole of your heat race, you take care of business, cool. But it is what it is. It's just if you would rather, if you just did it as a normal time trial show, I think it loses a little bit of its luster. I think something like this should have a special format where you gotta go earn it, man. You just got to.
Every lap matters.
Every lap matters, exactly, like you always tell me. Dave here, how about the heat with Chase Dietz and gravel? That was definitely one of the highlights. I thought the crowd was loud then. Dietz got around gravel with about 2 to go. He charged from. Did he start 5th?
I don't know, but he wasn't a factor until about 2 to go, and all of a sudden we're like, "Hey, where the hell did he come from?" It was just like a light switch.
And he was ripping, and you don't usually see David Gravel get run down, especially in a heat race like that. And that was super impressive by Chase Dietz. Just he had a really good night. I mean, he finished 8th in the feature. He's been looking really, really good at Port Royal, no matter the competition. But yeah, I mean, that crowd went nuts. And I think part of it was just because it was one of our guys. I mean, Chase Dietz is a very popular driver, but I think it also, it being gravel that he passed.
Yes, it was gravel. It was the Zemco car at Port Royal in a big night with a big crowd. Everyone was a Chase Dietz fan into place at that moment. Everyone.
I was.
Doesn't matter if you know him, like him or not. Everyone was, and we all were too. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the best moments of the entire weekend for sure. Marie Beasley, really quick. Hi, in Indiana for Midget Week, we'll bring the sprint cars back with me to PA. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. We're amped up for some USAC sprint cars and Silver Crown coming to PA here soon. So that should be fun, though. Midget Week out in Indiana. And I know that's a big deal, and that'll be fun. Back to Weikert here. Brent Marks had to come from the back to the front twice. He was the hard charger. He gained 13 spots, but he got himself up to about 6th, 7th place here. And then did he have a tire go down? I think.
Tire
and he had
went
to
down
go
under the open red. It was when they walked up to the car, it was down, and they put air in it to see what would happen, and it was going down as they were sitting there at the open red. So they put a new tire on, had to start at the rear, and all the way back to 6th. And he was one of I'd have to look at the lap times and find out, but he had to be one of the top 3 fastest cars on the track at the end of that race. Every lap at the end, just absolutely ripping. Like I'm a fan, so I'm watching, and all of a sudden I'm like, he's passing some good cars here, and I'm like, where is he at? Like, where's he running? And I'm like, holy shit! Every lap he just harder and harder into 1 and 2 and just ripping. It was pretty cool. I think he won hard charger twice, really, is what
Yeah,
happened.
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, if you add it all up, he probably gained 25, 26 spots throughout the entire night. And it kind of sucks because what could have been if he doesn't have a tire down? Does he have something for Danny? And I think the answer is yes, for sure. I mean, Anthony Macri looked good. Corey Day was also another guy. You don't see him on this top 10 here, but he was another guy who just continues to make a name for himself. He was running the fence higher than guys like Macri and Borden usually do. He was up there on that fence, looking really good. He was up in the top 5, and then I think he had something break as well. So, unfortunate for him, he just doesn't seem to have the luck at Port. He looks fast there all the time, but shit, just doesn't seem to be able to finish the deal.
This one might have been his own doing after knocking the wall down for most of the feature.
Yeah.
So he finally had the right rear. The right rear couldn't handle any more abuse. But listen, I'm not knocking for that. He was the show for that first half. There were like Twitter and Facebook and everything was like, holy Corey Day, like holy shit. And then I was like, I think I put it in one of our chats, like, hey, that can only last so long.
Yeah.
Boom goes the right rear. So
but the track was phenomenal. Well, I noticed, and it's something that I just me going there pretty often. When they did the resurface or the new clay or whatever last year for the rescheduled Tusky 50, it seemed like there was nothing up against the wall. It was basically, it blew out. It didn't really build anything up there, and then it was just wall. And that's why we've seen some weird racing at Port, end of last year, beginning of this year, on top of weather and everything. And then, but I noticed it right off the bat where it was like, hey, they put, at least in 1 and 2, it looked like, I'm sure they did in 3 and 4. It looked like they put a little bit there to build up on, and it made for great racing. I mean, and even this past Saturday, which we'll get into later, just that top really came into effect, but the bottom and the middle are still there, which is prime Port when it slows down. If you hit that top right, it rewards you, but it will come out and bite you in the ass. Just ask Corey Day. And that's the best Port Royal. It's what makes it one of the best premier tracks in the country, what makes it exciting to go to. And it's great to have, another huge race like this in our area. 75,000, man. I mean, that's the highest paying race of the year so far. Danny Dietrich takes the lead. Was it like 10 to go, maybe a little bit less, around there? They're coming to the checkered, and Tyler Courtney slides Danny in the 3 and 4, and it was going to be a drag race to the line, and a yellow comes out, and they do a green white checkered. Danny eventually wins. That place blew up. You could see in your picture here just how nuts the crowd was. It was something, and to win it in that car. And Danny's done a lot for this event. I mean, he does a lot for the area, but he does a lot for this event. I know he was doing a lot of job, obviously trying to help promote it. It rained out on Saturday. There was no first night, and they had a band playing in the commercial building, and this band called Gravy. I got one of their koozies. But him, Logan Wagner, they were down there hanging out with fans, hanging out with everybody. I think I saw Mike Wagner down there too. But just kind of what Danny does to help promote these things, it goes a long way. And it was a very, very popular one, and I was happy to see him win, to be honest. And not that's not something I would normally say. Nothing against him. It's just I'm usually rooting for 3 or 4 other guys. But for him to win in that car on that weekend, just everything, and to sweep the weekend, I was extremely pleased to hear that. How about you guys? What other takes did you guys have from the Weikert?
Go ahead, Chris.
Watching it on Flow, it was definitely a good feature. You could kind of see some comers and goers, and before Corey Day broke, him and Macri were up just doing the old school Macri line, really. Flying, Devin Borden had a strong car until he had a tire going down.
Yep.
But like you said, that crowd was nuts when Danny came off to tape the checkers. It was remind you of the old posse outlaw rivalry type thing going on when one
Bear
of our
Hill
guys
type
wins.
style.
Everybody was Danny fan, at least for that 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and you can see it in the picture, you saw it in the videos, the place went nuts. And that's the energy we want. That's why these national series come to Central Pennsylvania, because the energy's there for these big shows, whether it be the Weikert, the Tusky, or the Natty, or any of those major touring series come in. It's like that. So it's cool to see. And I'm glad they got one of the races in, and I'm glad that the posse won.
This isn't a fire all segment, but it should be, because I wish we did a show last week, because it was way more fresh in my brain and my thoughts about this whole event. And but as we've talked about it and Jimmy's talking about it, it's kind of bringing it back up. So again, if it was a fire all segment, but usually when we do fire all segments, it's I'm going to complain and bitch and moan and be negative. Well, this is the opposite. From beginning to end, right? Tried to get the show in the day before, just wasn't going to work. Bring them back, have the track be just ready to go. Multiple lanes and ended up on the top. Guys could run the bottom, momentum, the format, tons of cars. The place is jam packed. Right? People in a mudslide on the hill camping, didn't care.
Yep.
Just everything about what this has built up to feels like this was the peak and what Danny had envisioned for it, right? No matter what support he did or didn't have, it was a big event. And this is just like top level. This has to be put on the map as one of the premier events in the country.
Yes.
It has to be, because the fans went and supported it. If it had 75 grand and it was middle crowd, blah, 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 good finish or not, did it really do it, right? This has everything in place, big winnings, awesome trophy. There's history, special cars, great weekend, great racetrack, great promoters, including Danny in this, and the fans showed out. That race isn't what it is without all those fans, right? Even if Danny won, it's popular among our little crowd, right? Or whoever's crowd and the people, and that's big. But the fact that it was as full as it was, and people from all over the country tweeting about it, social media and Port Royal and everything, high limits now involved. It has to be put on the map as one of the top events in the entire country of the whole season. Not just it's a Port Royal weekend, okay? It's put on the map. I don't even care that Danny won it necessarily. I'm getting to that in a minute. But the fact that it just the event, just everything, the way they did it, the way it went off, even with the rain out and a little bit of like people were, that hype, right? Like
Yep.
2-day show, prelim, let's get fired up, no matter what happened. The fact that everybody came back or stayed or did whatever, was willing to be there on that night, just incredible, right? And I wish I was in a position to hear the crowd. I should have went up to the crowd, but you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm doing photography, so like I wasn't there, but that is a moment where there's not been many moments I wish I was in the crowd, but I wish I was in the crowd, like for that as they went across, right? So up in the stands, by the way, the infield, that's fine. And I was in the infield. I knew what people were going to be doing, but I wanted to really hear that. And I think Matthew said about you can hear the crowd over the cars. Well, they're muffled. They have mufflers, so that's easy. So, still hate it, by the way. 358 late models are louder than 410s. It's just stupid. But anyway,
So real quick, I want to get your guys' opinion. So would this not be maybe the first marquee event that High Limit has had? You said about national thing. This is one, it's their own, really. I mean, this event's never been to this level, even though the All Stars. This might be considered their first marquee event that gets national exposure. That could Set Score 50 is always going to be that event. At least so we think, right? But this is the first one that's kind of High Limit's identity a little bit, and maybe rewards Port Royal for taking the chance of going with High Limit or sticking with that instead of like the rest of the tracks, Lincoln, Williamsgrove, Babs, that kind of towed the line and went with the Outlaw show. I mean, Port took a little bit of a risk, I feel like, doing this and losing that Outlaw date end of the year. Isn't it kind of, to me, it's a good thing for Port Royal that it went so well, because it's what they've been doing hard work wise, and I think it's a good thing for High Limit. I mean, all is pro racing for sure.
David Gravel said it in one of his interviews with Flo, was this is the type of race, this is what makes a national race, because it's not just the High Limit and posse guys. You You have Invaders. You have, I mean, if some of these other guys didn't have, like, I kind of, once I heard Gravel and Schuhart were coming, I'm like, well, maybe we see like a Hot and Shield or somebody else, but they probably have other things. But but he was saying about seeing all this competition. You're only going to see it a couple times. Knoxville, Kings Royal. That's really it, probably. Maybe the other race right before Kings Royal. That's it. That's all you're really going to see is like when you're going to see these guys together.
Right. And I think that just speaks to the track and the event, right? And it's what this event deserves, whether it be high limit or not. But it's just, to me, it's the first time high limit has one. It's like something to that level that's like theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. I don't, like, I hear you, but I don't know. Like, I think the Weikert stands alone, whether it was sanctioned or not. Like, yeah, high limit coming in is definitely gives it a boost, maybe nationally gives it on the radar. But in my mind, the Weikert is the Weikert that has high limit guys in it. Like, maybe that's just because we're a homer a little bit and we're PA guys, but everyone, I don't care what series you're in or what you're doing, you want the bull and you want the Weikert trophy, right?
Sure.
Like, so the high limit thing definitely added to helping the purse, maybe, or whatever. I think it could be a springboard to a yearly pinnacle event for high limit. I don't know if it necessarily like is could say, hey, that was high limit's deal, right? Because they're young, they don't really even know their deal yet, right? They're like, what is their biggest deal? But I think it could be a springboard for a yearly Memorial Day weekend high limit banger. Like, it could be that for a long time.
Right.
So I'm with you. I agree.
I
I
guess
I think it stands on its own a little more than high limit making it bigger. If that makes sense.
I think we're saying the same thing. I just didn't use the right words. It's always been a big event to us, right?
Yes.
It's always been the second big event at Port Royal.
They always had MRN come in. They had Wing Nation always come in for the pre-race show.
And even with the All-Stars, it was that event.
Yes.
This, to me, you guys were there last year and the year before. This felt bigger than those, right? You know what I mean? So this felt like an event that was bigger, whether it's because there was more money because of high limit or just the names that were there. High limit obviously has a depth of talent more than the All-Stars. It just felt bigger with the crowd, with everything. And I just think it's the first time that high limit's kind of had something of theirs. That is their event, but it's like a big event on their schedule that isn't just like somewhere random in the Midwest. Like last year was a lot of big money, but it was just like, was it really an event?
I get what you're saying. Yeah. And the thing is like the Weikert, like you said, it has been big. This isn't the first time we've seen Outlaws come and run it. You know what I mean? A couple years ago, you had Donnie Schatz come in and run his late model. You had, I think it was Gravel, Brent Marks when he was on full-time Outlaw. Was it Brad Sweet too? There was a couple that came in and did the same thing, drove in for Sunday, and then went back out for their Memorial Day race. I think it was Lawrenceburg at the time. So it's not the first time that, and the thing is, because it is the Weikert. Bob Weikert means a lot to the sprint cars nationally. And I think that is where the basis of this entire weekend starts. And high limit has just, with the money, obviously, has added to it. But it's always been a big race. And that has been recognized nationally. But this will, like, it was like a perfect, it got rained out Saturday, but it was a perfect event on Sunday. You couldn't ask for anything better. Jeremy and I did the pit walk. It was absolutely bonkers in that pit area, for good, for better, or for worse.
It doesn't it really get you excited to go back in September for Tusk 450? It's like, I wouldn't even call it a mini version. It's just far enough away that it's kind of like a warm up, and you're going to go back there in September for an event that historically is bigger. It just gets you a little more excited.
So that was the next thing I was going to go to. I was a little surprised that we didn't hear an announcement of maybe Tusky getting bumped.
Same. That would have been the only thing I felt like I missed out. And maybe things weren't together enough to get there, right? It's okay. But I really thought there was going to be like, hey, here's what's coming this summer. Like, if you like this, check this out.
Yep.
That's a very Port Royal thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not saying that, I don't necessarily think Tusky needs to be bumped. You know what I mean? But I think signs point, especially after this weekend, to see how successful just that one day was.
Yeah.
I've camped for the Weikert every year up there for the past 3 or 4 years now, and I got there Friday noon when it first opened, and it was already half full. It was jam packed, and I usually don't see usually get a pretty decently full campground there for Weikert, but you know it's not like Tusky, like you're on top of each other.
Yeah.
And this was almost like that. The rain kind of maybe kept some people left early on, like kind of left on Saturday. Once it rained, it made it a little bit of a mud hole up on the top of the hill, but it was great all around. But that's when I felt like I was already amped up for the weekend. And then when I was camping there, just the atmosphere Friday night, I mean, you have Williamsgrove going on down the line, and this campground is bumping at Port Royal, not even a race going on. So it was pretty cool. Just a great event. I'm glad it went well. I'm glad that, Port has had such shit luck with weather up until, and then when it happened on Saturday, like, oh, here we go. And then Sunday, we're like, oh, it looks like we were going to have to. They moved it up a little bit, which was a good move because it did end up downpouring around like midnight. But it was just a great event all around.
So I'm going to finish this off because I want to get to the race. Okay. Mm-hmm. We talked about the event, and Port Royal. We've given Port Royal a lot of love the last couple of years about their events, and this continued that trend. Phenomenal job. I don't care. I don't think anyone cared about how much work they did or didn't do the track or how long it took. No one gave a shit. They were there for the show, and they got a show. But let me get to the race. So, been public about it. I don't go out of my way to cheer for Danny on the racetrack. I have my favorites. Everyone does. I don't dislike him. I don't get into the feud. It's not my style to get into the feud. I don't care. Maybe when I was like, 15 years ago and I was drunk in the stands or drinking in the stands, I would yell and, swear at people. But you grow up. I mean, some people do, but most of our fans don't. But this, to me, what Danny did this weekend should put a lot of people on notice around the country. If you didn't look at this and go, oh, well, that's what we expected.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he backed it up Friday night, and he went into Port Royal, and then he's continued this, and we've seen Danny do this, right? Beginning of the year, he wasn't off the podium unless he wrecked that one night, and then it was like, where'd Danny go? Well, they got some shit figured out, and listen, again, I've said this on here. I hold him to a high standard in our area. He needs to be, to me, the leader of Central Pennsylvania and the posse when it comes to on and off track. And all we really get a lot of time is a spokesperson for off track. I need this guy to go back it up on the racetrack and win the races, the big races, not just the races, the big races. And he did it, right? Yeah. Not just 10 grand. Now it's the big win at Port Royal on Sunday night in Weikert car, the bull. A track that he doesn't dominate at, but he's fast at.
I think
he's shown those moments and won a race this year already once, but didn't have that. He wasn't on. We didn't talk about him,
right? I figured he'd be a threat for a top 10. I did not think he'd be competing for the win, just because he's good at Port Royal, but like with the national competition coming in, I'm like, it was going to be. You don't even see Brad Sweet on this top 10. That's how good this field was. He struggled. He was not. I mean, he finished like 15th or something, but there's a lot of good cars all the way in the back. And when you start looking at the heavy hitters, the Ricos, Tyler Courtney, who's been really, really good there. Obviously, he won the week before there, and then our local guys like Logan Wagner, Lance DeWeese, who won the C main, didn't make the feature. Macri, obviously. Like, there's a lot of guys. Brett Marks. Danny was like there, but like on that second tier. And for him to go out like this, not only win this race, but then go out on Friday. I agree with you. This is what we've been asking to see from him on the track, because we do need that other posse guy to go and be like, yeah, we're here, motherfucker. Like, come on in. Come try to. We're going to keep this money here. So
the way he did it, the way he won that race, the line he ran, patience and discipline and that, and we've seen that from him before at times, but it's like the inconsistencies of it, and I'm sure he's feeling the same, but we're fans, we're watching. In that moment, I'm like, well, Macri was up there for a minute, and he kind of blew by Macri, and you're like, oh yeah, whoa, what's going on here? Like on the bottom, like what is happening, right? And the top was still fast at that time, so it really jumped out to you, and kudos to him and the team, and obviously, he's won a national open when the national open was worth 25 grand. This is the biggest winnings race he's won. So obviously that's great, fantastic. But this really is more to me. It's more. It's not to them. They can celebrate in however they want, the meaning they want. As fans and as fans of the posse, this is like a little bit of hope because we got our asses kicked in the spring.
Yeah.
Like straight up kicked our asses, the Outlaws, when they had their run. Summer Nationals are coming. We're gonna have more. More things are coming. So getting it right now is obviously a great time for their program, but it's a good time for us as posse fans and going. Maybe we have some hope to not get our asses kicked this summer. So
Yeah.
kudos to them and the team, and for getting it done and on the biggest stage that they could have this year so far.
Yeah. Two other guys I want to shout out real quick are Chase Dietz and Logan Wagner. I feel like, I mean, obviously besides this past weekend when Logan Wagner won, I feel like those guys have been like 7th, 8th, 9th every race at Port Royal, and then to still do it here when High Limit and all these guys come in is still impressive. Like, this goes to show like they're strong, they're getting there, and obviously when we talk about this upcoming Saturday or this past Saturday, they're also starting to get there, at least at Port Royal, to start really competing with these guys as they come in, throughout the year. This has been fun to watch in the chat real quick. Seth Dietrich goes, when we get to this weekend, someone mentioned me, I got to whip a snap of the yard. And then Billy Dietrich says, don't you have a yard that needs mowing? Well,
Now he
we
says
just
it's
found out.
done.
He says it's done. Billy doesn't believe him. So
I wouldn't believe him
He's
either.
Dietrich fast on that lawnmower. He's
Listen.
Dietrich fast.
we don't know how fast he is. He won't race Chris. So I don't know how fast he actually is to be able to get the yard done.
He doesn't have his big motor.
Michael here goes, the Weikert felt more like all 3 days of the 50 combined in one day with the atmosphere and the crowd packing the Speed Palace. Absolutely, I agree. And it does just make me more excited for the 50 later in the year. Something Tyler said here, Tyler Koenig, what's going on, man? National Open will be High Limit versus Outlaws versus Posse. Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like we see a lot, like when it was the All-Stars, I don't feel like we see a lot of those guys when it comes to National Open, but I think you'll see more. I mean, Tyler Courtney, McFadden, Brad Sweet will probably be there. So yeah,
you think Brent would be there for it, right?
Yeah.
You might. He might think about it.
Defending champ.
But like in years past, when it was the All Stars, it seemed like maybe 1 or 2 of them would show up. It wasn't really a lot, but they also didn't have the roster they have now. So yeah, that's true. That's another one that you got to watch out for. Tony Sharp with the stats. Danny and Macri are now tied 6 wins for Central PA Sprint Car Series wins. So that's kind of wild because I feel like Macri's barely raced here.
Out there with Central.
Well, he has 8 total.
Country now.
He has 8 total, and so the other 2, he just won Huset's and he won a high limit race. So, yeah. I mean, otherwise he's kind of dominated here when he's been here for the most. I mean, kind of.
Yeah, and then Marie goes, I never count Danny out not being able to win a big show, just like Deweese. You can't count those 2 guys out. I agree. I've kind of the past.
I mean, I can count on Deweese. He's done it. He's done it multiple times, and year after year winning big shows when the money's on the line. We need to see it. I'm glad we did. Listen, I'm not downplaying it. We did. He's on that radar for me, and it just raises the bar for me more of like, hey, let's go, man. It's your time. It's your time. If you're going to do it, it's time. Let's keep it rolling, right? And when it comes to that, when beating the Outlaws, beating Travelers, keeping the money at home on our local tracks, you're that guy. Go be that guy.
And this was kind of the win where it was like the Danny versus Freddie crowd. You didn't hear I don't feel like we heard too much like, I can't believe Danny won. I think it was a very popular win because it was against these national guys. We kept the money here in PA. It was the Weikert car at the Weikert race. Just very fitting.
Rigged.
It was rigged.
Definitely rigged.
So yeah, I just want to give a round of applause though to Port. They always put on a great weekend. Rain or no rain, they do a great job. They coming out giving donuts to campers. They did the tail. I don't know who won the tailgate contest. But just a great weekend overall, and they just do a great job up there. So, gotta get off them for a little bit. I know we seem to be just harping on it, but they deserve it. They deserve all the love.
Hey, sorry about the parking lot. I tore up the campground parking lot a little bit. My bad.
It was already tore up before
That's
you
true.
did it.
Right.
It was mud bogging. Port, 2 huge shows the next 2 Saturdays too. We're gonna get into that. Let's get into.
You calm down, Tyler. Listen, we're still in last weekend.
Yeah, we have a lot to catch up on. So High Limit at Grandview. This one was a banger. You want to talk great racing, and this is something I feel like I'm saying every week on this show is just no matter what track they go to, it just seems like High Limit races 9 times out of 10 are just watch such a great feature. You know what I mean? Like every time Brett Marks gets it done. It was a very tricky track. Tyler Courtney was leading. He slips up after Brent kind of slipped up and gave it to Tyler.
After Brad slipped up.
After Brad was, it was just it was very technical. Mostly on the bottom towards the end, but the top was still there for first half of the race. What were your takeaways from this race, guys?
Did you watch this one, Chris?
No.
Okay. I did, and I was able to watch this sort of, and I watched the replay of it. I didn't have very good signal where I don't even know where I was or what I was doing. Then watched the replay of what happened. I could hear it, and then I got to watch it. And listen, Brent Marks, Tyler Courtney, and Brad Sweet. You have 3 guys battling for the lead, and all 3 of them make a mistake, and Brent makes the first mistake and gets to win. If he makes the last mistake, he's not winning the race. If whoever made the first mistake of those 3 was going to win the race, and that's what happened, turns out we didn't know that. But if you miss the bottom, you slide through across the middle. If you try to go to the top, you lose the lead. It was the weirdest damn thing you ever seen, and you don't see it happen that way very often. Like you're not going to see that the way that happened, the way that went down. You were not going to see very often. Maybe again like that, where it was the craziest shit ever. Where everyone was like, "Oh, they screwed up." Well, then the next guy gets the lead. Well, he screwed up. Well, then the next guy gets lead and he screws up, and you're like, "How? How did they not watch the other guys just screw up and go do the same damn thing and think it was going to work?" But listen, that's what this can be. And what you said at the beginning of this, Jimmy, was like, high limit, man. How? You want to know why? Because there's parity between 3, 4, 5 superstars.
Yep.
Okay. It's not this, hey, I'm going to run 7th and then I'll go pick off 4 wins. I'm going to run 8th. And these bangers. It's like, and again, I'm not putting these 2 against each other, but these outlaw races, there have been some really good ones. But what's happening here, these outlaw races, the best car gets out front and is gone. Sheldon, Gravel, whoever, and they get gone. They're really good. And it's not like the high limit guys are making mistakes, but these short tracks, it's these short tracks. And even, well, listen, Port Royal wasn't a short track and it was good. But what I'm saying is like between Brent, Rico, Brad Sweet, Tyler Courtney, Corey Day, somehow or another, these short tracks are keeping them close together and it's creating a great racing. So, and they're all very good, right? It's the timing of it all. Like Corey Day finished 5th in this race. You didn't even hear about him. He was coming up from the back. You didn't hear about him because of the show that Marks and Brad Sweet and Tyler Courtney put on trying to screw up and lose the race. Somebody finally fell into a win, and it was Brent at the right time. So, kudos to that, and kudos to Grandview, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to think because they all moved to try to go past a lap car, and the damn lap cars were as fast as the leaders, and they didn't know that. So they're trying to get a lap car between them, and they couldn't. Lucas Wolf was right in front of him the whole damn time at the end. Nobody could pass him. So it was very interesting. And like I said, the first mistake ended up being the winner because there were 2 more after it. So just super interesting. I'm glad, obviously, the guy that I like came out on top there. But after he lost the lead once and then almost lost it again, it was like, man, he's trying to give this damn thing away. He's certainly not trying to, but it felt like it and ends up out on top. So cool for Brent, obviously, to get a win at Grandview. He hadn't won at Grandview, I think I heard. So, and it kind of home, right? You got a little bit of a home run here, get to be at home a little bit and get a big win. So pretty cool.
I know, and something I forgot to mention with the Weikert was Danny was the Durst dice roll, so he won an extra $1,500. Brent Marks got an extra bonus for
He was the
being the
Dutch
highest. Well,
or
not just that,
highest PA. That's right.
highest PA finisher and winning. So that was pretty cool. So I think he took down 22.5 in this race. Not bad for a Tuesday night.
Not bad for a Tuesday night.
And somebody that really does, and two people already said this, and this is somebody that I'll probably mention later when we do Drink It and Dump It. Spoiler alert. Tyler Ross, man, he has been ripping lately, and he was really good here, consistent up in the top 10. He was really good at he was up in the redraw at Lincoln this past weekend. He's just been really solid all around. He's been really, really solid all around. So absolutely. Rico racking up podium finishes. Parker Price Miller too. He's been hanging around like 4th to 8th place. It seems like very quietly.
Top 5 at the Weikert. We didn't even mention that. He was top. He was fifth
and I don't even I'm not even like remembering him. He's just quietly doing his thing. So yeah, Enrico just he was kind of somebody where I'm like I expected him to maybe battle for wins a little bit more, but he's getting there now. So yeah, another podium for him. He took advantage of Brad Sweet there in the last lap. Marie goes, I was watching the All-Stars the last 3 years since I got Flo. To me, High Limit is mostly All-Star drivers and local drivers that supported the All-Star Series. So I don't watch High Limit because I watch USAC. Watching the rerun of High Limit features, they remind me of the great All-Star features of the past several years. To me, the High Limit is All-Stars. I mean, they took over the All-Stars, but they've changed it.
Like, I get it. I've thought about this. You think just one replaced the other, but you added Brent Marks, you added Brad Sweet, you added Rico Abreu.
Yeah,
arguably the top 3 drivers in the entire country.
Got 3 guys
what
that
carries
can.
You over? Yeah, what carries you over from thinking All Stars is Tyler Courtney, Zeb Wise, maybe PPM, but otherwise Corey Day wasn't, Tanner Thorson wasn't, Zeb was right, but Zeb's having a little bit of an off year. He showed up in the top 10 here, but other than Tyler Courtney, is it really thinking All Stars? To me, it's not. To me, it's an All Star roster, but it's not the All Stars. You know?
Yeah, and the last few years of the All-Stars, I mean, the All-Star roster, when you talk about full-time guys running the full tour, which was still kind of regional, they tried to get out of, try to go a little bit south, a little bit more Midwest.
Kick their ass for too many years.
But they had like 5 or 6 full-time guys only if you were lucky by the end of the season, you know what I mean? So the fact that they still have 12, 13 full-time guys now still in June, like honestly, it's very impressive. Just goes to show how good the series has been so far. Shout out Tanner Thurston. He's part of the Black Bandit deal. He ran pretty well at Grandview. I know he has some laps there with USAC as well, so I'm sure that helped. Anything else from this race on last Tuesday? Shout out Brett Marks. PA represent. Good to see him win. Wyndham.
That's easy to forget. I didn't realize he was still racing. So.
Let's go.
He's having a rough season.
Yeah, he's having a little bit of a rough go, but with that roster with High Limit, man, it's hard to.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talent there. How about this past Friday at Williamsgrove? It was a vintage 69K weekend. Darren Pittman hasn't ran a sprint car race, hasn't turned any laps since National Open last year where he was runner-up. Comes in here, Davey Brown's 90th birthday, and just was on rails all night.
Rocket ship.
Yeah, I mean, from he was quick time they did time trials. He was quick time in that. I think he got inverted back a little bit.
Yeah,
but he was just fast all night. I mean, I was a little bummed for Troy because he's the one that got passed. But another Darren, Troy, Lance podium, which I think right before National Open last year was kind of the same deal. I think Lance won instead of Darren.
Troy won.
Or Troy won. Yeah, you're right. Troy won. Right, and yeah. Just it was a cool story, we knew Darren wasn't really racing the 69K. He's just coming in to run the Outlaw races, but they also didn't have really the motor to be able to. They were waiting for another motor or something like that, and he looked good. Somebody. We're going to get to it in a second, but somebody tag Seth because we're going to be talking about him here in a second. But how about Darren Pittman, guys? Just obviously, Chris, you got the hoodie on. You're a fan. How'd you feel about this win on Friday night?
I love it. I love seeing Darren Pittman's just one of those guys that's always been nice, and he was here locally for so long. I've always enjoyed watching him, and in that car, it kind of gives you the same vibes that it was when Lance was there. It's just like a throwback to he has his tractor pedal probably in there again. Should have won the National Open. Wins here, and they said about going to Knoxville. I'm assuming that means the Nationals. That's exciting stuff. And I think it's only going to help that team catch up on whatever they were behind on most of it last year. And it's going to help, as we saw the next night, Logan Wagner get more comfortable with that car, maybe. I don't know. It's cool to see, and it's cool to see Troy still hanging around. And I mean, Lance, I mean, it's a solid top three. And in a $8,000 win show, that's something, right? So you love to see it.
Yeah, listen, I talked to Troy at
Lincoln.
Shit, where did he just win?
Lincoln.
Where was I? Yeah, Lincoln. And I'm losing. I lost track of what I was thinking about. And he talked about that race, Friday night, and he said, I ran a pretty good lap, and then Pittman got by me and ran like 7/10 faster than I did. Like when I was clean air, when he got the clean air, he ran like a half a second or more faster, and he was like,
he was gone.
Just a rocket ship, flat, just gone. Listen, I wasn't rooting against the 69K or Darren Pittman because I'm not going to do that. But when he got the second behind Troy, I'm like,
yeah, I didn't want to see it either.
Yeah, Troy's going to get this thing, and it was like, nope, see ya. Like, holy shit, right? Like, really? Yeah. And then when I hear the next night, right, to Port Royal, and you're like, they got something figured out, right? They got something because that was an 8th place car all season to
7th to 1st, right?
So, maybe they were waiting for that big old motor to come on in because, it looked like it because that thing had all the drive. It had all the it was right. So good for him. Good for them. Getting it going. It looks like they didn't forget how to do it. It didn't, and it wasn't just Darren Pittman, right? We've been talking about a little bit like Logan Wagner, what's going on. People were, blah, blah, blah. All the Lance fans are still butthurt, whatever. It'll never, well, guess what? It just swept a week. It just 2 freaking races in a row. So there you go. But no, good run. Lance P3, TJ Stutz P4. And is it time? Is Seth here?
I hope so because Ryan Newton.
Ryan freaking Newton. Okay. New motor. New motor, hard charger, doing Devin Borden things around Devin Borden, above the Devin Borden line. This guy, man, I'm telling you, put it all together, put it there. Ryan Newton can drive a freaking race car. I know it's been a little quiet. Season started off strong. Got a little quiet. They were getting a little bit light on motor. They had a hitter in there, brand new on Friday night, and there's a result. So just a really cool night for Ryan Newton. And he's flying home Thursday, going to take a little break. He'll be back later this summer. Super cool. Hey, Jeff Halligan, P8, right? Good run for Halligan. Only his second start of the season.
With that new 45 font, which was
new font.
A cool little change up. Like just
super random. They might have ran out of ink or lettering for the other font. Who knows? But why a font change? Nothing else. But okay, here we are. Danny P9. Maybe a weird. I don't know where he started. Did he start in the back? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But quiet night there. But okay, whatever. And listen, different Williams Grove last night, Friday night than in most nights. It was slick. It was dry slick out there. Ryan Taylor, P10, and Ryan Taylor's had a quietly sneaky.
He's been really good there. Really strong there.
So been had some up nights and down nights, but nice little P10 for Ryan Taylor.
TJ Stutz does deserve a little bit of props here. He's been really strong lately.
Dietrich spun out in the top 5 and came back through. That's what it was.
Yep. He
spun out early in that feature. I forgot. My fault.
But yeah, Ryan Newton, man, like when we talked to Seth the week before Weikert, and he's like, yeah, we won't be here. I know he said he was going back and got to hit a couple races, and then they didn't really have a big track motor. And then I'm like, oh, okay, Ryan Newton's here at Williams Grove. Oh, look at him. Hard charger. Fit like nope. So I guess they got it figured out, obviously. But damn, that thing was on rails, man. He was super impressive. I think he was up to 4th at one point and fell back right behind TJ, if I remember correctly. But Yeah, he was the most impressive that night, other than Darren. But I was with you too with Troy. I was kind of hoping Darren didn't get around him, uh, but Troy's been super strong, and Freddie having a bad night. They are that points battle, and we'll talk about more about the points here maybe in the next coming weeks as it gets a little bit clearer. But man, that's Troy has a shot at just about every freaking local title that Lincoln, Williamsgrove, the Central PA points, BAPS. He's in the mix for it all. So he's been super strong, and we're going to talk more about that obviously in a little bit.
Nate, I'm terrified of what your next tattoo might be. But if it's not Seth's face, I'm going to be disappointed. Because that's what it needs to be. Seth's face, like on your calf. You know, picture him like eating a glizzy.
Probably not going to be
know?
on his calf.
Oh, okay.
Just think about where he might put it.
All right, what else you got?
Let's go into Port Royal then. On any other?
What was the support division? What they run after that night?
358s.
Matt
Who got
Finley.
that win? Matt Finley, boys. The old 2-8 in victory lane. So good for Matt Finley. He had a good run going earlier this year. Front wing collapsed on it basically, so he lost that one. But Matt Finley with the win. So shout out to those guys. Pretty cool.
Yeah, 358 division had like 30 cars as well. You know, that's been a strong division there. It was their Dirty Deeds 25. So yeah, good for him. Port Royal Saturday, again 69K. Logan Wagner, man, where the hell did he come from, man? Lance got out to lead. He was running his middle bottom ish. You know, and I'm like, all right, well, when's Devin Borden gonna come? He kind of fell back. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe the top really isn't working. I felt like the top was working. It was working when you put Logan Wagner up there, which you haven't seen that 69K up there like that. And man, he was ripping like he was all those seasons he won the track championships, just absolutely ripping the fence. And he gained, was it like a second and a half in a lap at one point? Jesus. On Lance. And Lance is, you know, down middle bottom behind lap traffic. And I'm like, he's just gonna blow around Lance right on the top, and Lance is gonna have no clue because he's so far back, there's no way he could hear him or even know he's close. And that's exactly what happened. He came around him out of turn 2, and then you saw Lance like, holy shit, and kind of get back. Like, you know, he was trying to bide his time, just trying to like get through lap traffic nice and easy, not play around too much, but not push it too hard. And then Logan just absolutely rips around him, and he was gone, man. Like it was impressive. And he even said in his victory lane interview, he said, screw it. Tonight, I just said, I got to go. You know, he's been trying to run it differently. He's like, I got to go run it like I used to. And he did. And it worked out. So they got something figured out. Logan feels comfortable enough to be able to go run it like the old days. And also, I do also think, like I said before, what the Weikert track prep, something that I've noticed with there is that it is kind of getting back to how it was beginning of last year, the year before, with the way the curb is up top and just kind of the way it's slicking off and where the lines are. It's bringing it back to, you know, because not that they were bad races at Port, it was just, it wasn't what we normally expected from them. And it's kind of back at that, and that played right in the Logan Wagner's hands here. Not a surprise at all to see Logan and Lance, two guys who have dominated this track, you know, be the top two here. And then Chase Dietz with the podium. You guys see any of this race? Any thoughts?
Chris?
I didn't watch any of it. But, I mean, it's good. Again, 69K, finding their groove. I think our Central PA scene is better when that car runs well. And to get Logan kind of, I mean, last year was a down year. They were okay with Zemco. I'm sure he felt pressure, you know, getting in that car last year and having that season end the way it did and how it started. You get a win in that car, maybe some of that pressure is gone. And I think you might see him be himself more. And not that he was running bad by any means, but
no,
you know, when you're top 5 and winning, and then you're not, and you're taking over for Lance Luis, who was winning pretty much any time they unloaded it, barring something happening, some pressure there. But I mean, it's got to be a little nice to drive around him and
Yeah.
take that win, first one with that team. So
It was just wild for me watching. I was gonna go and I didn't. I'm like, I wasn't feeling that great, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. I'm like, just watching him run the top, and for how much time he was making in a straightaway, like he was making up half a straightaway on cars because he came back from like 7th, 8th position or whatever, and I'm like, Lance is gonna have no clue. He's just gonna get the doors blown off him. He's gonna have no clue that he was even there because he was so. It was just mind blowing just how far back he was until he made that pass. You couldn't do anything to defend it.
We should get those late model sticks out so they could have told Lance what to do. But
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what we need. Listen, I hate it that the world talks about Lance Deweese in that car and Logan Wagner in that car and its performance before and after. I hate it. I think we're all on borrowed time potentially with that 69K being weekly, being an upfront car. I think we're on borrowed time. Everybody needs to enjoy that it's still out there. And everybody tends to forget that car didn't win 20 races a season until Lance got in it, right? That's not what it was for year after year. Donnie's fantastic. I love Donnie Christ Jr., but he won at Susquehanna. And that's where he was good, and he won a couple races here and there. But otherwise, he wasn't a dominant guy. So I feel like it's unfair. Anybody else gets behind that wheel of that car that the expectations have gotten where they were. But this is cool to see for sure. But this top 10 is super interesting to me. Like Chase Dietz, we know, right?
Yeah.
Lance Deweese, we know.
He's going to get his
Cartland,
first one there soon.
Jake Cartland, P4, again, keeps showing up.
I've been
Keeps
saying
showing up, right? The improvement that he's made from his own deal into this deal, and his name just keeps showing up, Cody Lehman, P6.
Hell yeah.
Right? First career win last season. The top 10 already here. We're in June. And G-Max, Sisney, Borden Halligan, they're the names we expect to see. But this race, this top 10 is super interesting to me as far as like, okay, if Wagner won this on the top, the guys that typically do well in the top, right? Borden can run the top. Halligan can run the top.
Sisney.
And then you got Sisney can run that middle, that sort of Lance line, and Mike Wagner, that middle Lance line. But
Mike Wagner looked great too.
There's no wall banger guys up there competing for this win like they should, and Wagner got it done. So just cool storylines all the way through this deal, to be honest with you. So, I can't say I paid attention to I paid attention the last couple of years, but there's a lot of years I didn't really pay attention to the top 10 at Port Royal every weekend. I have to tell you that even if I'm not there, this is a super intriguing season at Port Royal every week with the cast of characters that are showing up there. Garrett Bard led laps a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Mike Walter. It's just a super interesting top 10 here to me, and the storylines that are playing out both at the very top of these races. Borden at any given weekend could go out and win it by a half a lap. We know it, but just super interesting top 10 here. Very cool.
Jake Cartland, I feel like I've been bringing him up a lot. He was one of my ones to watch in the beginning of the season. I've been bringing him up more and more. Austin Bishop got his first 410 win at Selinsgrove. Jake's knocking on the door. He's going to get one at Porto. He's going to get one at like Selinsgrove or something. He's been really, really good. I've been super impressed. It took a couple weeks in the beginning of the season for him to maybe kind of really fit in with that car because they had some up and down early in the season, but he's hitting a stride now where he's up there top 10 all the time. He looked good at Weikert as well. Let's get to some comments here. Michael says, Logan found the high line in turns 1 and 2 and blew the doors off everyone. Tim Black, Logan found a second gear up there on the top groove. He was faster than anyone. Sean says that Logan started 7th. That's right. And then Logan passed 2. This was a sick move. He was splitting guys down the middle of the backstretch coming out of 2. He made a couple 3-wide passes but he did pass 2. He was trying to cut through lap traffic because at one point there was about 5 lap cars between Lance and Logan in like a lap completely got rid of all 5 of them. It was nuts. And that's why I was saying Lance had no clue he was even coming. There's no way to know. And then good question here from Matt. Do you guys think the 69 team had to set the car to Logan's driving style for him to get a win? I think it's a little bit of beating in the middle.
Yeah, I think there's some of that. He knows what he's comfortable in. But if, like Jimmy said in that Victory Lane interview, said, "Hey, I got to do what I got to do." Well,
Yep.
so even if that car was like, "Hey, a little bit of the 69K and what we do, and a little bit of hey, where you're comfortable," but Logan said, "I got to go back to what I know and do," and it worked. So I don't know if it's like it's a balance. I think it's a little bit of both. Hey, this is our program. This is what we do. What do you like to have and feel, right? So I, a little bit of both, maybe, right? They've probably been working with that all season. It's not his first race, but at the same time, if they put the setup in it and said, "Hey, I'm comfortable here," but Logan finally went, "Screw it, I got this thing under me. I'm ripping," and took off. Who
Uh,
knows, right?
my
I don't think
my,
it's
uh,
different.
my assumption is, they were waiting for a motor, and my assumption is since we saw Darren Pittman, they got that motor, and maybe this motor has more power compared to what they had, and maybe they had everything now to be able to go run it the way he needs to go run it. Obviously, I mean, they swept the weekend. So I'm under the assumption. I don't know that for sure. I don't remember them saying it in any Victory Lane features, interviews. Maybe they just hit the setup right for a weekend. But my assumption is that they probably got their motor program where they want it. Because I know, Kreitz was talking about that in interviews early in the year about trying to get it to where it needs to be. And probably wouldn't happen until the summer. Curtis Spoonhour. I think Lance missing motor power. It could be. He's still been. I mean, he had a good weekend too. We need to not take. I mean, yeah, we expect him to win, but he led laps. Third at Williamsgrove, second at Port Royal. I don't know how much you could really be down. He's looking good. He's another one that's like he was a guy that was running like 6th, 7th, 8th. He's coming up now. Some of these guys, some of the cream is rising to the top.
I think the opposite. For Lance Louise, we're so used to him winning all the time. Remember that team? I think he got their first win the other
Mhm.
week, right? So let's just think about it's kind of the opposite of when we talk about the expectations on Logan Wagner. It's almost like we have expectations on that team thanks to Lance Louise being there in the 12 car.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a bad team or anything like that. It's just they don't have that experience per se. I wouldn't say. It'll come. He's still going to be there when it matters.
And they're figuring it out.
And listen, at the same time, Lance isn't young. Okay,
Right.
there's a fact of the matter that age and declining skill sets always win. I'm not saying he has. I have no proof or validity to that statement, but look, time always wins, right? Time always wins. So I don't know. To my knowledge, I think Lance said about the equipment and building the inventory and building a program a little bit and getting things in line, and maybe they are down a little bit on motor, but at the same time, you know, he's not getting any younger. He's definitely made them better already. They won a
Sure.
race and they're running up front.
Absolutely.
And think about.
But maybe he got outmotored a little bit the other night.
I think they've also tore up
Possible.
some stuff a lot
Oh,
of
they
this year
did.
compared to what
They
Lance
did.
is historically known to be a part of, and that's just circumstances. I don't think it's a lot of it anything Lance or that team did. They were just wrong place, wrong time. That's
Right.
going to set you back, especially some of the big ones
Sure.
that they had.
See it all the time.
Any other thoughts here from Port Royal before we move on to Lincoln? Mine is just Jake Harkland, man. He's just been he's knocking on the door, man. It's gonna be fun to see him when he does win. Let's get to Lincoln. This is a popular one amongst us. Troy winning the Steve Smith race. $10,019. Huge win for Troy. Looked good all night. He had to get around. Brandon and Freddie Raymer started on the front row. He got around them. I'm trying to play it back in my head. He got around Freddie. Danny was coming. Danny started pretty far back. Because I know he was out of the invert of the redraw. And then there was a late caution. He was fifth. I'm like, oh boy. Just because we were just talking about how strong Danny's been lately. And but Troy he did everything right. There were some late cautions. He was able to get good restarts, run his line, not make any mistakes, and brings home a huge win and just keeps stamping his name as one of these big posse, one of the leaders here, of the posse contingent. Just just an incredible race by him. And Tyler Ross with a P4. Got to give him a shout out. He was up there too. Tyler Ross passed him. Brandon led. Tyler Ross passed him. Troy passed Tyler Ross. And Freddie was in there involved somewhere. So, yeah, Chris, what'd you think?
I think it's, without watching the race again, it's important to note that team. I know Jeremy Elliott, Sprint Car Limited, did a 90 at 9 on Troy in that team today, but just what Troy's done since getting to that team with the Hefner Motorsports guys, they're now a threat when they unload most anywhere. This is his, third win of the year. Won the Icebreaker, won at Williams Grove.
Now here.
Few more he could have got at Babs. So he's there, right? And we talked before, and the last year, talked to him. We had him on the show, episode 1, with what he learned when Danny passed him in the last year at the showdown. This is now the second time that he's, I'm going to say outdueled Danny, but, won the race in a battle with Danny to some degree.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting seeing someone that we know personally and seeing that car do well.
Jay-Z, you were there. You caught this photo. You were, I know you were jacked up for Troy. What'd you see?
I saw Troy go out there, have a great car, and get the damn job done. Like, plain and simple, right? Did his job all night, went out fairly late in time trials, put down a great lap, did his job, got in the redraw. The redraw is the redraw, right? It was a Raymer front row. Freddie just didn't have a great night. Like, it's third, but he started in the front row. Okay.
Yeah.
So hear me out.
When he started on the front row, I'm like, oh man, this is Freddie's race.
It's gotta be, right?
I knew Troy would be there, but I really thought nobody's got to get Freddie. He's starting out front.
Right. It had all the makings of it, right? Troy did his job, did what he had to do, and took advantage of the opportunities that were there. Had a great car. The gang put Willie and Jesus
Ben.
Huh? Ben. Jesus, sorry, thank you, Ben. They great car. They're working well together. I saw social media, right? This is a big win. Social media, best the cars look since 2017. It's out there, but it's getting some real traction nationally, right? Like, hey, you can win a weekly show, you can go do this, you can win there, and your name pops up, and listen, this is $10,000. This is a big race at Lincoln Speedway, and Troy went and got it done. But I got to tell you, man, was I sweating it out. Danny, all these big wins, cars hooked up, cars fast. He's out there. He passed Raymer. He passed Ross. He passed Raymer, the other Raymer, like running the bottom. I'm like, oh, man. The top was getting thin off of 4. It was on the wall at Lincoln off 4, which was awesome to see. It wasn't a curb, but it was on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like.
Track looked great, by the way.
I was standing off of 4 watching, and I'm like, man. Oh, he's digging on the bottom. Like, this has all the makings for, and he was going to have to run Troy really hard to make that work because Troy had enough momentum there, and Danny was going to have to be really aggressive to make it work if he had the timing, and he just never got quite close enough. But man, was I sweating that one out. But super happy for Troy. Popular win. He's gaining fans by the day. Glad he finally has shirts out because he can sell some merch.
Get them. They're
hats are
fire
coming.
looking.
Shirts are out. Yeah, the shirts are all. I didn't even get one yet. I've been so damn busy. I got to get one. Hats are coming. Super happy for Troy and that team. They got something going together right now, and week by week, month by month, he's going to be fans. We're friends, and we talk about him in that tier. But man, it's coming. It's coming where he's going to be a guy because he time trials well no matter where he goes out, right? He's consistent. He gets it done. He's putting himself in position to be a guy on these big shows and traveling series coming in. He runs Williams Grove and he's won some races at Grove, but in all things considered, he doesn't have tons of experience in Williams Grove. Like, not like Lincoln where he's run 358s a few years before he got to the 410. So, like, yeah, we don't have a lot of big races at Lincoln anymore. It's going to be, the Outlaw Show, this race, the Sterner. There's some of those kind, but not traveling series, right? Like other than the Outlaw Show. So, getting those laps at Williams Grove and getting that car consistent and speed and finding that same speed that he's found at Lincoln to be able to go past good cars at Williams Grove. A little bit of time, but he's inching into that conversation very, like, sneakily, but like, hey, he keeps racking these up. He's going to be in this conversation with Macri, Danny, Freddie, Wagaman, of the leaders of the posse.
The wins with him are impressive, but what's really impressive with me is the time trials. Like you said, he's been like all these time trial shows. I've been giving these guys more notes, more practice at doing time trials for when the big series do come in. We're seeing more time trial shows than ever, and he's consistently up there. And that's the other thing with him is the consistency. Something with this 27 car when Borden was in it, and obviously Borden's a young raw talent. Yeah, he won right out of the gate, but then he'll go finish 15th, 16th. You don't see that with Troy. This guy's up there in the top 10, no matter where he's at, battling. He competes for wins. It's good to see him start finally clicking off the wins now, and I think he's going to be hard to stop, especially he's a guy that I look at, man, for Speedweek, he's going to be right in the conversation for the title. He could win 2 or 3 races. I don't know if he's going to run the entire thing. He should, because I think he would be right there in it, but
They're not going to.
But but the Lincoln Williams-Grove races, he could win 2-3 of those.
I mean, that one's 25,000 to win, right? The Lincoln one.
Yep.
So, and I think a key thing you mentioned Borden, you mentioned consistency out of Troy here. A key thing is he doesn't tear up equipment. He knows how hard it is to keep that car in one piece, or how important that is. He did it with his own team, and Willie for all those years, and I think that carries over. Having a guy that respects the equipment or doesn't put himself in compromising situations often. He'll still drive it hard, but he's not going to put himself in a bad situation. That helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one reason he got. I think that's obviously one reason he got in that car. He's gotten this opportunity in that car is because he doesn't tear shit up. He's been very consistent. He knows what to do.
And he knows what he's not going to do, but he's not going to be able to win. Like I know he interviewed with Jeremy Elliott after Selinsgrove. Pittman passed him, and he's like, it's not my day, and I'm just going to ride. I'm just going to cruise here, basically, and I'm just cruising here, saving. Like that's maturity, right, as a driver. So, that's a good thing, and now he has the speed to go with it. I think preseason we talked 4 or 5 wins. I think it was 3 Lincoln, 1 Grove. I think he passes that if he keeps at this pace and the way it's been going. I think he certainly passes that.
Listen, 19 races, 14 top 10s.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm saying. Consistently up there every night.
10 top 5s.
Yeah.
3 wins. Okay, so it's coming. It's there. It's already there. They're not going to run all Speed Week. Troy, he didn't even run. He doesn't really run a lot of Sundays because of work on Monday. If they don't have to, he'll run all the BAP stuff. That's pretty local, pretty close. But they're not going to overdo it. Troy has a full-time job, and that's what's paying the bills. He has 19 races, 14 top 10s, 10 top 5s, and $140,000. That's not paying all your bills as an adult, right? So, full-time job. This is weekend, and not that he can't get to there someday, but right now they're going to run their schedule. Still going to run a lot of races, right? They're running all Lincoln, all Williams-Grove, and all the BAPs. You put those together, even with some rainouts, 40, 50 races, they easily. So,
and I think
they are going to run some Speed Week. They might run Hagerstown. I don't think they do Port, but they'll run Lincoln, both of them. They'll run both Grove. Maybe a Hagerstown in there, maybe a Grandview. I don't remember, but just every night they unload, right? If it's time trials, he's there.
Right. And I think the key thing he talked about is by doing that, staying to the not grind of racing all the time, kind of keeps it fun, keeps it fresh for them too. Like knowing there's a little bit of a balance there. Like, hey, if we don't want to go to these other events, we don't have to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They don't have pressure. They don't have pressure to do it, any of it.
Play into his strong suits, you know what I mean? And his strong suits are very strong right now. When you have 10 out of 19 top 5s and you have a couple wins and you're in the top 10 every race that you're in, and it's a lot of time trial events, and he's always top 5, if not quick time, in time trials. It's incredible.
So on sprintcarratings.com, I don't know if anybody believes in it or not. I know I use it for statistics, but 2024 rating, he's 17th ranked driver in the country for 2024.
Okay.
Top 20 410 drivers in the country.
Yep.
So
that's something.
It is something.
We'll keep it rolling.
So 358, Scott Fisher wins.
Yep.
And Tyler says Ashley Capetta went from 12th to 7th. Another strong night for her. Good for her. Anything from the 358s, Jeremy, that was noteworthy?
Fairly uneventful. I mean, Logan Rumsey had a front axle brake leading, pretty fast car. Don't know how it ends up, but The track ended up kind of bottom at the end there. So you don't know what would happen, but Scott Fisher did his job. Got by Carberry. Carberry's keep showing up. Finished
Yeah.
P2 there at the end. I think Hammaker might have been third. I want to say so. Good race, but once Fisher got the lead, man, it was pretty much game over. He had a really good race car. Yeah, definitely a popular win for sure. It was cool to see him get back in victory lane. I don't know if I've seen him win a ton um, in my time. I've seen him race a lot, right? But not a lot of victories. So that was cool to see for sure. But yeah, good night overall.
And another storyline from this weekend, and kind of graded overall. Callum Williamson's out of the Trone 39. Cody Hartlob is now in there.
Oh yeah.
First impressions on him in that car. And Randy Kopp says here, good luck.
Anybody have any thoughts before I do?
I don't.
Honest.
No?
I don't really. Go ahead.
Okay. So the history is public. It's out there. We all know. Okay. I got to talk to Cody a little bit. Nothing that he told me is, not public knowledge, not out there, whatever, but this is going to have a perception because of history.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody needs to take a step back and let Cody have his own history. Okay. Let Cody handle what his history is and his view of it, or not his view, but fate in his own hands a little bit and determine it. But I think what people need to understand is that this is part-time. This is not forever. Cody's down on equipment. John Trone called Cody and said, hey, there's an opportunity. Let's have a conversation. And I think they knew Cody was kind of out of equipment at the moment. He tore up a lot of race cars, and
he had a scary one. He had a scary one the night of
sure.
that Saturday night Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, which listen, I'm friends with Cody, and I could be really, really, really insulting to how that hole went down and why it went down, and drivers involved, and it shouldn't have happened. But that's water under the bridge. But it's more torn up race cars that didn't need to happen. Cody's torn up enough cars on his own this year, learning in a 410, let alone some of the bullshit that he's gotten caught up in, because people seem to not be able to do what they're supposed to be doing here. Again, I'm not going there. Okay. I'm not going there, damn it. But John's reached out and they want to make it right. They want to get the car rolling. And, Friday night wasn't, I think the whole world is expecting Cody to fail, because no one else has had massive success in that car in a long time. In fact, everyone typically, and I've said this out loud, that people get better when they leave that race car. So, again, I'm not there. I've never worked in or for any of those people, so I'm not going to make comments on any person. But if I look at the ride, and we all do, everyone who's left it has gotten better or improved. This is a little different for me, right? I talked to Cody a little, and they want to make it right. They want to get it going. Jim Siegel's a little bit involved here. They're friends with Jim's friends with Cody and Kevin Fry. They want to make it work. They want to make, the time they have together worth it and valuable. Friday night, I think, they're fighting some brake issues a little bit, some hardware stuff, and it's not bad stuff. Just got to get the bugs worked out. New car, new seat, new everything for Cody, and just get on the same page. So they're going to go to town this week in the shop, put a new car together. Cody seemed to think there might have been something going on with the chassis. So they have enough equipment. They're going to put a new car together this week and come back at it Friday night. I think Friday night, I would assume. And this weekend was just take it for what it was. It was a shakedown for both sides, to see what we feel and what we like and what we think. Go from there. So
you can't expect these things to be like a Swindell situation where they just pop in a driver and they go in and win.
Cody's a rookie. Cody's in his rookie 410 season.
Right.
Like, what do we expect at the same time, right? Like,
right.
It's not like he's 20 years into this deal, and you can go get in a car and just make it better overnight.
Right. Not just driver, but also equipment. Also equipment too. Like, there's got to be a mesh there where they both got to be on the same page and they both got to feel comfortable. So, I'm just expecting, and Matt said it here, for me when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, more seat time. That's how I see it as well, Matt.
And
Oh,
to go with
Cody needs that in general, no matter what
Right.
car it is.
Yes,
more seat
exactly.
time for Cody could benefit Cody. He's been fast, more seat time, and if this car, if he leaves that ride, maybe he leaves it better than he found it, and now it's an attractive offer for somebody else, and then they can. We have another competitive car in Central PA.
Mhm.
That's I think the
Yeah.
best outcome for both, or Cody's in it, or
Somebody else that gets
whoever,
another opportunity
whoever
after
wants
him.
to be in it,
Yeah, and
that could
listen,
be
there
it.
will be another driver in it this season sometime. Okay, there will be. I don't unless something drastically changes in the next few weeks. There will be another driver in it this season, and and my brain and my mind and my heart all says this because Cody's going to go back to his thing. He made them better. They made him better, and we're cool because it's not ended that way for a lot of the most recent history.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for Cody, and I don't want that for them. I'm friends with Cody. I don't know the team. I'm friends with Cody, and we are friends with Cody. We want the best for Cody, right? Because we're partial to that.
Right.
So I'm not going to take a side here, but I want it to be left better both parties when they're done. If they're done, when they're done, it doesn't matter. But Lincoln goes out, time trials really well, has a pretty good night. All things considered, the way Friday night went, you're like, I don't know what this is going to bring. They still had brake issues in time trials. Going into time trials on Saturday at Lincoln, they still had brake issues, and I don't know if it ever got resolved or not. I didn't talk to him after the race at Lincoln there, but made the feature, ran the laps, didn't spin out twice on his own like Friday night, right? Like that. Cody doesn't do that. So they have some work to do this week at the shop, and I'm sure they'll get it going, and we'll see what this weekend brings. But listen, it would be unfair for the world, Central Pennsylvania, and anybody else to look at it negatively for Cody. Cody
No.
is his own person. He's going into it with an open mind, knows obviously the history, knows what's going on, but this is Cody's opportunity, not anyone else's, right? So, and again, he has a good support system behind him, his family, his team, Pat Brewer, everybody involved, friends, family, close people. And John Trone, he was very clear to me that John wants to get it right. They want to make it right. They're not out here to do it half-assed. They're not out here to do it intentionally to skirt anything. Just got to get it on the same page, right? Just like any other team. There's plenty of guys who've gone and been in rides short term because the team just couldn't gel.
And
That's
you
okay.
look,
That's fine. That's the world we live in this. So we're looking for see what again. And I'm still not raising the bar for next weekend. It's a
right.
brand new car.
Right.
It's going to be a brand new everything this coming weekend. So it's not like I'm going to go, oh, well, Friday night happened this, so now we're expecting him to go run top 5. No, we
It,
want to have a good night. He's comfortable, and he still gets that seat time he needs as a 410 rookie.
take it to that team. We just talked about Troy Walgerman. We talked about Hefner. It wasn't that long ago that 27 car was burning through Tim Schaefer, Ryan Smith as a 72, going to Borden, not running well, kind of very similar. Greg Hodnett.
Troy was in that 39 car as well.
And
so was Cam Smith.
You can see a team, Hefner team, figured things out. They had to have the right pairing. I mean, Devin Borden did a lot to get them moving in a competitive direction, right? But they're obviously better together with Troy. Who knows? Maybe that's what the Trone car finds. They learn something from Cody, and like you said, they come out as better, find a new driver, and all of a sudden we have another competitive car. That's I think where we're all at.
We need those car owners like this in order to keep these car counts and this how competitive we are in Central PA alive. You know what I mean? We can't just continue to rely on driver family owned teams all the time. You know what I mean? It's good to have these cars out here where they're like, hey, this kid's got talent, this guy's got talent, let's get them in the car. And they're able to get seat time. They're able to kind of showcase that a little bit. And then wherever it takes them. Or maybe it stays there. Maybe it hits off. But regardless, nothing should be talked down there. You know what I mean? At all in any situation.
I'm glad you mentioned about shit. What did you say? I'm glad you mentioned about Central Pennsylvania is better when that car's on the racetrack, and they want to be, and they want to be here, and it's better when it's running well. There's a fairly famous, infamous local kind of keyboard warrior in the Central PA area that just puts out random acts of stupidness on Facebook. And I made a comment about, listen, everybody should be rooting for that 39 car to succeed, not fail, because we are all better when it does well. All of us in Central Pennsylvania, the cast, and because again, there's less and less owners willing to shell out the money, time, investment, everything in this, and that we have one, and we kind of continually pile on and shit on it.
Right.
We shouldn't, and it's unfair. And shame on me. I've been caught up in it. Shame on me. Right? It's funny how your perspective changes a little bit, but shame on me for doing it too. And I'll outwardly say that. I don't mind saying it. I can say I was wrong, but we should all be supporting it in the best way we can.
Absolutely. No, the more people that want to be involved in this sport, the better. And if there's car owners that are willing to put up money and just, I don't know what their deal is. I'm sure there's always, it's not just, hey, for free for all, you just get to get in there. But those days they're mostly gone now. So the little bit of car owners that we do have that are still able to do that, we should cherish it for sure. Any other thoughts from Lincoln?
Brandon Raymer, good run hanging in there.
Yeah.
Good, really competitive for him. Needed a good run, I think. Lucas was good again. Tyler Ross again showing up. Right, we talked about it. Just really, really competitive. The battle with Freddie was fun to watch. Like it was hard to keep up with because I was watching multiple things, but man, that was some good tight racing there for sure. So just good run for Cam, top 5.
Yep, I was just going to bring him up.
Just a really fun night overall.
All right. I don't want to be controversial, but we're going to get into something probably controversial with what happened yesterday. This race paid twice as much as Port Royal. Port Royal gets more cars. Do we have any thoughts on that? I just think you have your locals that run each track. You have a couple guys that kind of chase money, but not too many. You have you guys that on Saturday night, they're at their track. What do you guys think?
I think it is a points race at Port Royal. The guys that aren't racing for points, minus Devin Borden, we're at Lincoln. Lucas Wolf's down there. You're going to have your Port guys, you're going to have your Lincoln guys. If it was the other way around, I think it's the same. That's the unfortunate
It wasn't
thing.
by much either. I think it was,
Right.
2 more cars or 3 more cars?
It's the unfortunate thing when you have a time trial show right at Lincoln. You're going to have some guys that aren't going to do that are just going to go to Port and do their thing. I wouldn't read too much into it.
No, but just a little bit I was like kind of surprised, like, I don't know why, like someone like Devin Borden didn't go because it paid twice as much and he been running well at Lincoln. So, but
I think they've been struggling a little and they wanted to feel like, hey, we've won at Port. We can go to Port, get ourselves back to zero a little. They've been self-admittedly struggling a little bit. So maybe that was that decision. Like, hey, let's go to Port. Let's get ourselves back to zero a little.
Go to actual.
If I'm going to Lincoln and I don't feel like I'm going to contend for that win, I'm a guy to put on the top of the list. Did we learn anything? We're not maybe going to go back there a ton this year. Right. So
as Jeremy said, there's no more big races at Lincoln, really, minus the Speedweek shows.
The Go-Breck's pretty big, but still, they'll be there. They're gonna be there regardless. It's not like they need to get some positive, good mojo going in that team. So I would imagine, again, I don't know anything, but I feel like they feel at home at Port a little bit,
For sure. Seth Dietrich goes.
And who else was at Port that isn't running for points that would have went to Lincoln? I don't know anyone. That was
no one.
That was
no, and
really.
I agree.
We know Lance is at Port chasing the record.
I know where you're getting at here, but think about this. Givler, Western PA Speedweek. Mark Smith wasn't in town either. He would have been
Billy didn't run.
Billy Dietrich, right? Equipment. The obviously Strickler was there. Tim Gladfelder was there, but Macri's out of town, right? Like you could easily flip that around and have 4, 5, 6 more cars.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Morris was
great. And listen, full field, just great.
Right.
I just thought it was. I just didn't expect. I figured it would have been maybe the other way around. But
Dylan Norris.
Norris was out there.
Dylan Orwig, the 5 car, wasn't there with Travis Scott. Like there was just a few of those cars. Again, we're talking about just car counts, but it was the people you expected to see at Lincoln were at Lincoln. Yeah. If we're just saying, hey, the overall amount of cars, and again, no shot at anybody, but Dylan Orwig and the 5 car with Travis Scott and Jordan Givler. We love Jordan, but they're not contending for wins. But do we feel better if there's 32 versus 29? Like, do you see what I'm getting at? Like,
right. But for a race that's paying twice as much,
the only cars you're really
racing for points
might be Macri and Borden, right? Are the only ones of of top tier talent that you really didn't have that would have made a difference here or made people feel like, hey, for double, whatever. But that would be the only two in my mind that were like, damn. Otherwise, it's not, again, I'm not taking shots at anyone, but there's different levels to this shit.
Mhm.
And like, we're just talking about car counts, or are we talking about competitors that are threats to win? It would have been Macri and Borden. That's it to me.
Okay. I was being kind of facetious here and leading into yesterday at Selinsgrove.
Oh, yeah. This is the real one. Let's get into this.
Yeah. So that's, I didn't mean to get as deep with that.
No, but this is very different.
Yes,
this
is very
related,
different.
but very different. So let's get into it.
Selinsgrove yesterday, 14 410s. No, it was 14.
No, one
and
of
then
them was
one. Oh, okay. One 360 and 13 410s. Yeah, there was a couple guys that were maybe west that I know there was like Mark Smith, maybe even Ryan Smith, I don't know, that were caught out Western PA. They ended up getting rained out. Probably don't make it to Selinsgrove. Maybe that's a couple more. Dylan Norris has been running there. There's a couple. I figured still for how well Selinsgrove pays out. I know it's hard on equipment. I get it. It's a big ass track. But you still get the same people that will use the same excuse, like, oh, at least I'll go get start money and some laps at Williamsgrove, which is probably equally as hard as on equipment. Maybe not quite as much, but pretty hard on equipment. Yeah, it's a Sunday. It's just, I don't know what it is with Selinsgrove. They're in a funk right now. They had some good momentum. Obviously, there's been some things going on potentially. I don't know, really. But to only have 14 cars, now they had a full field of 305s. They had 25 305s and a good field of street stocks. It was a decent show. Danny Dietrich takes the win, but I mean, it was basically an 8-car feature by the time they got rolling into green flag laps. There's a lot of cars that broke. Ryan Newton looked really, really good. It was a shame. I don't know what happened. Maybe Seth can shed some light on exactly what happened. He sounded like he died coming into turn 1 late in the race. He was running up in the top 5. Looked really, really, really good. But Danny pretty much just runs away with this one. It was good racing throughout, like from second on back to 8th. It was good battles. Like I think it was Devin and TJ Stutz. Newton and TJ Stutz at one point. Lucas ended up getting up to second. Devin had to come from kind of far back. Austin Bishop had to go into the pits early in the race, comes back up to 8th. Jeremy, I know when you were a little disappointed when you pulled up. What were your thoughts on yesterday?
I was pretty disappointed with, just feeling unfulfilled with going up there with expectations of team supporting it. There was a, pretty big push last year about supporting this racetrack, and at moments it felt good. And then I get there last night and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm putting this on the teams, plain and simple. If the
Top
teams
10 get
go ahead.
Just before you get in that, 10th place got $1,000. So 14 cars, you basically show up, you're getting at least $750. They do $750 to start. It pays very well. I know it's hard. Like I said, it's hard on equipment, but I just wanted to point that out. Sorry, go ahead.
So I do want to ask Seth, hopefully you're still watching. Please tell me that car didn't blow up. Please.
He said he said he pulled in to give DD a chance to win, wanted to keep our
did it blow up? It sounded like it got real lame real quick. So
yeah. I hope not.
I hope not. But so listen, I'm putting this on teams. And I don't care. You can be in a 360 team right now. You could be a 358 team right now. You could be a 410 team right now. And if you have the balls to go on social media and tell me about payouts and shitty payouts, and you're not paying attention to the landscape of things, and you didn't show up there last night, shame on you. If you want to run it like a business and you want to treat it like a business and feel like these tracks should be paying you enough to make money, and you weren't there last night, shame on you. Now, you have prior commitments. You were never planning on racing. But if you sat around and you wondered what was happening at Selinsgrove, and your ass owns a race car, and I don't care what motor's in it, you didn't show up and take $750 from them and run a time trial and run a heat race,
go get laps, and
shame on you.
Yeah.
So shame on
Right.
you. And again,
Real quick, Ryan Newton in
it
the
blew
chat
up.
did
Jesus
confirm
Christ.
it did blow up, which sucks.
It from where I was standing, like I been around a minute listening as a fan, it sounded like it blew
Yeah.
up. It didn't show the signs of smoke and fire and flaming,
No,
but
it
it did
didn't.
not sound good.
Out of nowhere.
So again, brand new, third night on it. So, but anyway, hopefully they can get it fixed up a little bit. They can get back here this summer. I hope, for them and the team, because man, did he look good. But I'm going to go back to this. And listen, I don't want field fillers. No one's here to see field fillers. Okay. But if you want to act like this is a business and you want to be treated like a business person and you want to run your race team like you should be making money, which there's 1% of all sprint car teams are probably making money. So you aren't. So stop with that deal, first of all. But why were you not there?
Yeah.
Go up there. You weren't going to spend $750 to be there. You could profit for the night. You could profit for the night. $750.
Now,
It just
I
kind of
know.
pisses me off. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that to support Selinsgrove. I'm saying that when these teams, you can't talk out of both sides of your damn mouth when it comes to we're not making enough money and the payouts this and the payout that and spread the money through the field. They're doing everything in their damn power. And I believe they're one of the few tracks that will let kids in free.
Yeah, they do a prorated pit pass.
Yeah, like a prorated pay. So even in the pits, right?
Yep.
Encouraging people to get to the racetrack, encouraging to come up and support the place. If you can get 44 10s on BAPS on a Sunday and you get nobody to support Selinsgrove, and I'm glad they're supporting BAPS this year, but this was bullshit last night.
Yeah.
If you're running a race team and you didn't show up there last night, shame on you. Shame on you. And I hope I don't see any of those teams out there talking about payouts. Now, I hear a lot more about the payouts in the 358 division. That could be warranted. I'm with you. But you can't, as a race team, tell me about payouts and spreading the money through the field.
You could have brought a 358 up and made more than you do in a normal race.
There was a 360 there. Brett Warner had a 360 in the car, to my knowledge. He doesn't even live here anymore.
Yeah,
this guy moved out west.
He's from out west.
Somewhere. He don't even live here anymore. And he has guy just showed up in a 360. Unfortunately,
he got
talk about what happened there. But bring your car up. If you have a feel and a pulse on the landscape of things, and you didn't take advantage of that last night, shame on you.
Yeah, I didn't expect 25, 30 cars. I didn't expect a BAPS type of Sunday turnout because they've been getting 30, 35, 40 fucking cars on Sundays. I expected 20 to 24 though. And then when I pull in 14 cars, it was hard for me to tell out in the parking lot because 305s were running, and I could usually tell the difference between a 305 and 410. But sometimes with some of the field fillers at Selinsgrove, it's hard to tell. So, but no, all jokes aside, I'll put some on Selinsgrove. This was very poorly promoted.
Yeah, but
Chris didn't even know about.
We've known since February, March this was a race.
But do you really see anything on social media about it?
No, bullshit.
If you're a 410 team, you know
the calendar. You know the schedules. This is 410 racing. This is Central Pennsylvania. Everybody knows the damn schedules. Everybody knows that this race has been on the calendar for months. Figure it out. Get the pulse of it. If it was on your schedule and you feel like, hey, 30 cars are going to show up, stay home. Great. You don't have the power. You don't have the thing. You don't want to burn your shit up. Great. But if you have the pulse of things and you're in a Central PA team and you're bitching about money and you didn't come up and take advantage of that last night, shame on you. Because I don't care about the promotion for this, especially for race teams. If you want to talk about promotion and putting asses in the seats, maybe.
Yeah.
But not for race teams. They know damn better.
And it was still a decent turnout. Like, it was maybe like third full, which, I mean, when people start hearing there's only 14 410s there.
It's going to get less and less each time.
Right.
Because why would they? Listen, I did. I was like, what am I doing here? And I love the place. I like going up there. I like Ethan. I like the team. I like going up there. I enjoy it. It's fast. It's different. I like to drive up there.
I felt bad.
What am I doing here?
I felt bad not going to see you guys and Kim and that. Like the plan was until Jimmy told me that. Like, I feel less bad now.
Yeah. I had a great time. I thought the racing was still good. I'm pretty sure. I think maybe some of the discourse could be the stuff that's going on, the rumors going on behind the scenes. I'm not going to get into it, but maybe some new people being involved. Track prep was great. Track was awesome. It was fast, but it widened out. There was 2 or 3 lanes in 1 and 2, which you don't normally see. Usually it's kind of one lane, but they were making most of their moves in 1 and 2. Yeah, it's fast. It's hard on equipment, but don't tell me, oh, I'm going to go run on a Friday night to go get $500 to go get laps at Williamsgrove. Yeah, sure, it's probably a shorter drive for some of these teams, but then don't go take advantage of more at Selinsgrove when it's the same shit.
And listen, I will also say this: Austin Bishop got paid in cash last night. So,
oh, so
Yeah.
there for some of the naysayers talking about maybe some of that. You know, I know they've been working through a lot of stuff. I will say one thing for Selinsgrove: clean your damn bathrooms, man. I'll come up. I know they've been having maybe some staffing issues or something. I don't know. There's a lot of new staff there, and they all did fantastic. I'll come up and volunteer in an hour or two if you let me in to come clean your bathrooms, man. I know a couple people mentioned it, but other than that, everything was great. You know, they're a track that's really trying. They got big races coming up. They got Super Dirt Car on Wednesday, which is WRG's really first chance to work with the track. And then they will have. Do they have what? They have sport. They have something Saturday. Sportsman 305s. They have like 4 straight 305 races there. They were there yesterday. They'll be there on Wednesday. They'll be there on Saturday, and then next Thursday, they'll have late model Speedweek there, and late models run well there. And the 305s are really fun there. Like they put on a really, really good show at Selinsgrove. They seem to find a home there. But I'm with you, Jay-Z. Just they pay really well to try to get these teams out, and I get it. It's a Sunday. Maybe it's a little bit out of the way for teams, but it's not that far. I don't know. I don't understand it.
I'll say props to Danny again for doing his part.
Yeah.
He's there, showing up. I mean, I'm sure he's not sad about winning 5K, but
It felt like a funeral, though, the entire time. There was like no energy from the crowd. Even the victory lane was like 30 seconds. It was just kind of downtrodden a little bit. I still had a great time. It was still good racing. I think people there still generally had a good time, but it wasn't. There was a point in time where you could hear a pin drop. It was so weird. And, you know, I don't know what the fix is. I don't think it's necessarily anything they're doing wrong, but something needs to bring the vibe up there. They need some type of excitement there. They need to figure something out. They'll have Speedweek coming up here at the end of the month. That's always a big show for them. You will have 410s come out for that because of the points thing. But I don't know, man. And it's tough. And it was a tough one to swallow. Still had a great time. Still love going to that track. There's nothing like watching those guys go into turn 1. Turn 3 is really cool too, but just coming in the end of straightaway, jumping in there, man, they're flying. And it was cool just because there's the freaking speed difference between the 410s and the 305s. Like, yeah, we know there's a big split there, man. It's the most noticeable just how much faster the 410s are than the 305s. It's unreal. Overall, though, yeah, congrats to Danny, Jake Karkling, another good run. They were battling back and forth in the top 10, trading spots, a lot more passing than you normally see at Selinsgrove, to be honest. It was a great surface, great track all night. I don't know what else to say. Get to some...
the shrimp basket was pretty good. I did have it.
Yeah, it was. I had the shrimp basket, too.
It's weird, but I'll do approve. All good.
Tony says, I was told a part of the problem is a lot of mail and such is going to Steve Inch, and he's not forwarding anything to track. No clue of anything, but I do trust who told me this. That's an interesting one. I don't know what.
What's that have to do with drivers showing up to make $750?
Yeah, that's why I don't understand what that. Maybe with payouts. I know that was kind of a thing, but I think they ironed that out this year. I know they went with a different system and everything, and I haven't heard any complaints so far this year. So, and like you just said, Austin Bishop just got paid cash. So, can't wait to see Modifieds go into 3, crank sideways on Wednesday. That's going to be awesome. I was thinking about going. I don't think I can, but I'll definitely be watching it. It'll be on Dirt Vision, so everybody can kind of get a nice national view. Do we think this was a weird thought I had? We talk about flow killing attendance. We joke about that a little bit. Do we think because this wasn't streamed, it hurt worse? If this was streamed, more people might have known about it.
No, I don't.
No,
it never has been. It's
More
not
people
new.
would have maybe
they
watched
said
it.
last year every race was done by Sprint Car Unlimited.
Everyone?
Yep.
If this
Maybe
was on
not.
Flow,
Maybe not. Yeah, go ahead.
Say it was on Flow. I think more eyes are on it. I don't know if that's a good thing. If you have 14
I don't
cars
think
and no fun there.
I don't think it matters. If you're a 410 fan, you know this is a race. You know it's coming.
I agree.
I just
it was just a weird thought, just because,
no, it's not an excuse for me. Selinsgrove isn't new. They've been around. They run Sundays. That's when they do 410s. This isn't new. Nothing really changed with the scheduling of what they do. No, it's an excuse. No, I don't think so. And that's my opinion. Just an opinion. Yeah.
No. Like I said, track was great. They're doing some good things there. Get your ass there for the Speedweek show at the end. Last night of Speedweek, that Sunday. Get your ass there. Go see some race cars go fast. I mean, there's nothing like watching these guys during time trials there. It's awesome. I know, like I said, some people complain that it's hard on equipment, but it's hard for me to be sympathetic to that when you have 360 showing up to run a 410 race. I don't know.
Listen, I talked to a couple 305 guys that said they wish they would have registered for the 410s.
Yeah.
To run 11th was more money than the winner of the 305 race.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to run all the laps. And they're going to put the laps on the motor either way. But yeah, Tyler, hey, listening, you said about, watching the modifieds turn in turn 3 crank sideways on Wednesday. That's fine. I hope you enjoy it. I won't. So good luck. Have fun.
Say hi to Ant and hi to Troy.
You're not going to turn me into a modified fan, Tyler. It's just not going to happen, buddy. As much as you try or want to, it's just not going to happen, okay?
Aunt Bay in the chat. What's up, fellas? A little late. Nice shirt. So I saw your sexy face on Dirt Vision on Friday night, by the way. I'm like, oh, look, there's Aunt Bay working on the car. Looking, making himself look like he's busy. And, of course, Troy, what's going on, buddy? We just got done talking you up. Go back and listen to it. So that's this past weekend. Let's just touch real quick on High Limit. Lawrenceburg on the 31st. Kyle Larson with the win. Butler yesterday. Made up race from Saturday. James McFadden gets Brad Sweet back. Some sweet revenge. Pun intended. Getting him a photo finish at the line, but this time McFadden comes out on top in a hell of a race there. I didn't really watch too much of this. Some highlights. Obviously, the McFadden sweet finish. That's 2 straight. That's two this year where they had photo finishes. So that's pretty cool. Tanner Thorson having a good couple weeks here, getting himself up in the top 10. Skylar G had a good run. Caleb Henry with the top 5. A lot of people say, I hear his name come up a little bit online, like, hey, this is a guy to watch. Watch that 101 car. Well, there he is. And then also just touching on the World of Outlaws real quick. 2 nights at Atomic, David Gravel and Sheldon Hodenshield get wins. Fremont on Memorial Day, Carson Macedo gets the win. And then this Beaver Dam race on Friday was really good. I was watching that. Sheldon with the win, but it got real dicey. That first half of the race, man, you had like 3 or 4 cars battling through lap traffic for the lead. So, yeah, just kind of catching up on those. Any thoughts from High Limit or Outlaws?
I got nothing.
No, not really.
Let's get into this week and let's preview what's coming up. We got Fan Appreciation Night on Friday. This is also USAC East Coast, giving us a little bit of a preview what's coming next week. At Williams Grove on Friday night. Port Royal, regular show this week. And then the Elijah Hawkins Memorial race at Lincoln on Saturday as well. Port will be on Flow. Williamsgrove would be on Dirt Vision. No Sunday race this week, right?
Thank God.
Or yeah, right. And then obviously, like I kind of just hit on it. Late model Speed Week starts on Friday.
What is it?
You go-
What speed week? Super late model. What speed week?
Appalachian Mountain
Appalachian?
Speed Week. Appalachian.
Appalachian?
I say Appalachian.
Appalachian? Palachalian?
Appalachian.
Appalachian? Oh, okay. Thanks, man.
Yes, Appalachian.
Changing my mind.
They start at Clinton County, which is going to be a banger. I'm telling you that one right now.
Man, that would be so
I
cool.
didn't. I was my plan the past 3 weeks has been, and I still might, has been to go to Clinton County, but then I didn't realize that USAC East Coast was running Williamsgrove, so now I'm kind of torn. But I mean, we're gonna see USAC next week, so maybe I will. Clinton County's only 50 minutes away from me, so maybe I'll go there. If not, they're gonna be there Saturday at Port Royal, Hagerstown on Sunday. They get Monday off, Path Valley on Tuesday, which we saw how good the World of Outlaws were there. So that should be a good, fun show. Selinsgrove Thursday, Bedford Friday, Lincoln next Saturday, and BAPS to close it out on a Sunday. Is that with 410s or is it just suit late models? Do we know?
Where?
At BAPS on the 16th.
That is.
It's probably just a late model race. I don't think it's.
I think it is. Yeah. Well, I know that Lincoln has 410s on the 15th.
Yes. Yeah.
16th. No, I don't think it is. That's Father's Day. I don't think there's a BAPS race that weekend because I have put all the BAPS races on my calendars, so it's not there. So no.
Okay. BAPS is late models and 305s. That makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna. Right now, my plan is to go to Williamsgrove on Friday, but I'm like 55-45. I might flip back to Clinton County tomorrow. I don't know. Because seeing those guys, one, I just want to get back to Clinton County. Clinton County is a badass track, and two, see the late models there. My plan was probably Clinton County and Port Royal this weekend, and then next weekend, obviously, I'll be probably at Port Royal every Saturday, and then I'll probably go to Selinsgrove that Thursday night if the weather is nice. And then obviously, there is a little bit of overlap here. We'll talk about this more next week. We're going to try to maybe work on doing like a little maybe Eastern Storm preview. But next Tuesday starts USAC, their East Coast, their Eastern Storm. Grandview, Bridgeport, Big Diamond will happen Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then you got Williamsgrove. And then the big race is obviously that Saturday at Port Royal because it's not just the 410 sprints. You also get Silver Crown and you get winged 410 sprints. It's one of the coolest events of the year. Basically, if you don't want to go all the way out to Eldora for 4 Crown, go to Port Royal. Basically the same show. Just, not sanctioned 410s. But still, we know, great. It'll be great. And then Action Track. There was a banger last year that Sunday to close out their stint here. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Maybe we'll try to talk to some people, maybe try to get them on to come help preview a little bit. What are you guys looking forward to this weekend? And with these 2 weeks maybe coming up here?
I might be at Williamsgrove Friday. That's all I got.
Oh,
That's
cool.
what you're looking forward to?
You're looking to maybe go in a race.
It's been 2 weeks. I should probably go back to a track.
What if ones you're not going to? Are there any other ones on this
What
list
else are you looking for?
Hey, what are you interested in? Even if you don't go, Chris, like what's cool to you?
Maybe I can't go, but maybe I'll try to catch the stream. Maybe I'll actually watch a race.
You know how to do this, right? Like you've been here before. This isn't our first show.
Yeah, it feels like my first show.
Jesus Christ, this guy.
I don't know, man.
It's not Sportsman, so
they're off all of June. I'm off all of June. What are you gonna do? I don't know. I hope to be at Williamsgrove. Otherwise, I don't know. I got nothing. Paragos.
Shocked. Jay-Z.
Okay. All right. So listen, the late model, this late model deal, I want to see sometime. Like I'd like to see the race at Lincoln. Port Royal is always pretty cool. Late models there, but like the short track, Bedford. I mean, I imagine they rip down the bottom of 1 and 2 at Bedford when they get down the hill and really lean these late models over. So that'd be cool to see for sure. Again, not being a huge late model guy, there's still some races there that I think are kind of cool. But it's USAC Eastern Storm. It's nothing I really ever got into a ton until the last couple of years. I knew it was around, but I didn't go to that many races. I went to the races I wanted to go to. Last year, I think I did the Williams Grove Port Royal action track weekend. I'm pretty sure I did all three, and I know I did actually, yeah. And it was awesome. All three were awesome. I'd love to do that again this year if I can. That Port Royal night is a special night. First time I watched Silver Crown at Port Royal, that was cool.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Definitely need to do it again. Hopefully this year. The 16th at Kutztown last year was wild. Like,
Yeah.
just it doesn't make sense. They don't belong there, but it's freaking cool. Okay. There's a lot of these that are cool. Like I don't know if Grandview. Okay, yeah, I get it. Bridgeport probably are going to be gnarly.
They're going to
probably,
be awesome at Bridgeport for sure. That's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, like East Coast is gnarly at Bridgeport. Watching those
Mhm.
guys throw 3-story sliders. Big Diamond. If obviously it'll be televised, so I'll watch that. The one that intrigues me the most here, honestly, and I'm not going to get to it, is the Clinton County Speedweek show for late models.
Yeah.
I got to get up to that place, man. I got to plan it out. I got to make time. It's a long drive for me, and I got to figure that logistics out. I got to get up to that place because every time I'm like, just people rave about it, and it's really. I think it's gaining momentum in the racing community as far as being at one of the places that everybody wants to go to, no matter what you drive.
Mhm.
I got to make it up there, so I'm intrigued by a lot of those. To be honest, I think it's going to be a great couple of weeks, and then
I didn't
not long after we roll into PHB week. It sounds crazy, but we're there.
I didn't realize until this past week that Big Diamond and Selinsgrove were on top of it. They're scheduled on top of each other, which sucks for me because those are the two closest tracks for me, and I want to go see both. So, I don't know. Weather's going to obviously dictate a lot of that, but went to the Big Diamond USAC race last year. It was pretty gnarly. It was pretty crazy. Hopefully they have the tractor tires that moved in a little bit more this year, so they give them a little bit more room. They had them pushed out hella far. I know they had some surface deals. It didn't look like that this past time I went there with the Sportsman. So
very much.
So I'm either Clinton County or Williams Grove on Friday. I'll be at Port Royal on Saturday. That's my plan. I'm in between on Selinsgrove and Big Diamond on that Thursday. Then I'll be at Williams Grove again that Friday, and then definitely I'm not missing out of all of those is the Silver Crown race at Port Royal. I really wish they could get Silver Crown back to Selinsgrove. They were so badass there. That would be great for that track. But they're so cool it's so cool at Port Royal. It just doesn't feel like a normal Silver Crown race because there's only 50 laps. When they were doing it at Selinsgrove, they were the main attraction. They did 100 laps there. It was awesome. It was a real endurance race, and they were fast, and they had the 410s with them. Or no, they had USAC East Coast with them. I'm sorry. The last time they were there, it was pretty awesome. So I'm planning on getting to a couple of these. And obviously, it just keeps rolling. You got Ohio Speedweek coming up, and then obviously at the end of the month, PA Speedweek, baby. Let's go. This is one of the best weeks of the year. 10 nights in a row. 410 sprint car racing across Central PA. And they all pay a minimum of $10,000, which is pretty awesome for them to step up like that. Big race is the $25,000 to Kevin Gobrecht at Lincoln that first Saturday. And then the Mitch Smith is usually the highest paying race of Speed Week on the second Friday. But for all those to come out with $10,000 to win shows is pretty incredible.
And low key, the best race last couple of years of Speed Week. Now, there's been some really good races, but
yes,
the best race the last couple of years of Speed Week has been
Hagerstown.
Hagerstown.
And it's
Some
on the 4th of July. 4th of
bangers
July,
the
so
last
they
couple of years.
should get a good crowd, I would think. With sometimes it's usually hard since it's in the middle of the week. They always get a good crowd regardless, but I think with it being on the 4th of July, it should be Should be pretty good.
And you can buy beer at Hagerstown.
You can't take it in. You could buy it there though.
You can buy it there. Oh, I'm all in for that. That's fine.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I know. I was never there. That's the one track on the schedule I've never been to. I'd like to get there, and with it being on the 4th of July, just that's a far drive for me, and I got to be at work the next day. But I mean, it's like a holiday, so whatever. We'll find out.
Listen, there's a lot of other Fridays you can work all year long. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
you have 52 of those. You only got one Hagerstown Speedweek show a year. Okay.
it's very true. I could fight through a Friday being tired. I think I'm gonna do it.
That's the attitude.
I think I'm gonna do it.
Done, Chris. See how that's done?
Chris won't even watch it on Flow.
Fair shot, I won't.
That's true.
He doesn't even watch races anymore.
Turns out I have not the last 2 weeks. I was at Port Royal, with you guys, whatever that, and I watched
And left
exactly
early.
no racing. Yeah, I left after the sprint cars, and I haven't watched the race since. Not even NASCAR. I didn't even know there was a photo finish last night, if I'm being honest.
Look
Thanks
at
for
that.
telling me
We're bringing you the news here. Good
I
job,
fell asleep.
Chris.
I'm killing it.
And you're blurry. Why are you blurry?
I don't know.
Tyler
Falling
says.
apart here.
Tyler says he's going Big Diamond tomorrow, Selinsgrove Wednesday, Williamsgrove Friday, Lincoln Saturday, then Hagerstown on Sunday for late model speed week. So that should be cool.
Yeah,
Busy
that
guy,
checks
busy guy. Dave says Chase Deep's doing a double on June 16th. He won't be the
15th.
only one.
15th.
And yeah, the 15th at the Silver Crown and the 410. He will by far not be the only one. So
I think he should get a USAC East Coast ride while he's at it. Just do all three. Briggs Danner could do that too.
Yeah, he might do all three.
He's got a Silver Crown car, an East Coast car, and he's got a 410.
Well, no, it's 410 USAC. It's not East Coast.
Or
it's the National Series.
That's
so
right. I'm sorry. Yeah,
you might see a Brady Bacon do double, triple. I mean, triple's tough, man. I mean,
I know, but I want
especially for how long. It would be cool. Take the 2D to Port wingless. Hell yeah.
And a wing one.
What
And a
you used to
wing-
have a lot of. You used
He
to
has a
have a
Zemco
lot.
car for that.
Used to have a lot of guys just take the wing off and go run wingless when USAC would come around, and you don't really.
Brent did it. Monteith did it. Moody's done it. There's a few
It's-
guys that have done that.
It sucks that you don't see it as much this year. Now it's more often than not. It's the wingless guy throwing a wing on.
Yeah.
You know,
They
it'd
know
be
where
cool to
it's
see.
at.
It would be cool to see some of these guys just take the wing off for a night and go have some fun. You know, it doesn't always have to be about.
Yes, it does.
Shut up, Chris. No, it doesn't. Yep, DD did it wingless. There's been a couple, but it's been years since we've seen somebody really do it. So maybe
Well,
keep an eye out.
Moody just did it. Didn't he run Williams Grove last year when Anton Hernandez? He was a teammate of Anton.
Yeah, you're right. He did that.
Moody
There you
did.
go.
Yeah. He was in not his own car, but
Yeah,
he
he was
out
in a
and did
different
it.
car.
Yeah.
He's a teammate for.
Anton Hernandez.
Yeah, but did he finish? Isn't that the guy that went with a fence and hot lap?
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
That was
No,
short-lived.
I don't know. It wasn't hot laps. It was lining up for his heat
That's
to
right.
come around to catch the pace car, and he gone.
It's a short-lived partnership.
He gone. So we had a lot to catch up on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You guys have any close? Oh, let's do Trick It and Dump It just real quick before we go.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to do. I'll go first. I'm going to drink it to Tyler Ross. He's been running really, really strong. I kind of brought it up before, and Jake Kirkland. Those are my two drink it's. I'll save the other good ones for you guys. And my dump it would be cars not getting the fucking Selinsgrove. Get your ass there. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm so sick and tired of it. Get there. Make racing fun again.
Facts.
The fuck?
Chris.
Drink it up.
'Cause if you let me go in front of you, I'm going to steal yours.
Well, I'm just gonna take the easy one. 69K back in victory lane twice. Obviously for Darren, but 69K in general. Dump it for me not going and watching races
No, I
for
wasn't.
two
gonna
and a
take
half
that one.
weeks.
Is that it? Are you good?
That's it. I'm good.
Wait,
can
what
have
did you
more
say?
than that.
What was your dump it? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Himself.
I'm the dump
himself
it
for not going to the races.
or watching them.
Oh my god.
Falling apart, boys.
Figure it out.
All right. So mine is my drink it and write it down. June 3rd, 2024.
Oh boy.
Danny Dietrich.
Hey.
There
It is a historic day in T2T history here.
Come a long way
And
from
my-
Give
Jimbo.
the man his flowers. There you go.
And my dump it to finish this all Dietrich off is Billy Dietrich for his unfortunate trip to Western PA Speedweek that didn't last very long. So tore up some equipment, blew up. They got back home and they're rebuilding to get back on to Pennsylvania here. So the Dietrich family wins drink it and dump it for me.
That's a DD.
Yeah. Matt says, drink it to you guys for having a kick-ass podcast and keeping us up with the 410 info. You can thank me and Jay-Z for that, obviously not Chris.
Yeah, clearly.
Not this week.
Chris, what's the 410?
Never heard of her. It is.
It was cool hanging out with you yesterday at Selinsgrove for a little bit, man. Always cool seeing you. Appreciate you. And go kick ass. Stop being a bitch. Go
fast and turn left.
Go fast and turn left. Brandon says, drink at the DD for getting his car fixed and back to podiums and wins, and dump at the Selinsgrove MAGA. Agreed. It's
Racing great again. Right.
Make racing great again. Merga. Make racing great again. Drink it to the weather. Could have been a lot worse, says Randy Kopp. I agree. Besides Saturday at Weikert, we started getting a couple drops at Selinsgrove, and I thought Jeremy was going to come over and get my head off. He's like, in the morning, he's like, oh, did Selinsgrove cancel yet because it's going to rain? I'm like, it's not going to rain. It's not going to rain. And it didn't rain, actually. Besides those couple sprinkles, it never rained here, by the way, throughout the entire night. But we started getting a couple sprinkles during one of the 305 heat races, and he's like,
I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to kill
I'm
you.
already not having a great time.
14 410s, and now it's going to rain out, and we were fine, though. Yeah, weather held up. And as always, drink it to all you guys watching live, listening the next day. We really appreciate you guys. It's been cool meeting everybody at the track, talking to you guys online. It's really cool to hear when people come up and say, hey, I'm sitting there at 8 o'clock on Monday waiting to listen to you guys. It really makes it special for us. It's just we have a great time talking with you guys and just talking racing in general. So I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in every week.
Listen, man, you can't come in here drinking to T-Dub for winning. We did all that. We kissed his ass for freaking 25 minutes earlier. Like, what am I going to do? Kiss his ass for over there for 25 minutes and then give him my drink it? Like, come on, man. This guy.
I honestly thought somebody else was going to take that. That's why I didn't take it.
At some point, his damn head ain't going to support his little bitty body. This guy's only like 5'6", for Christ's sake.
Get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Keep an eye out on our socials, and we're gonna try to do something for Eastern Storm next week. So, as always, have a great week. See you at the races.
See you.